Hello, hello. Here we go. Just turning off this background music. If I can. Okay, there we go. Sorry, it's like technical glitches. My music didn't want to turn off. Welcome back. If you've been with us the entire time, good on you. Thank you so much. This is the final session, the final segment of the 24 hours of amazing marketing ideas live stream. I'm your host, Fiona Lucas. I'm coming to you from Geelong in Australia, and it's been an incredible 24 hours. So many incredible minds. And sounds like the music's trying to stay on, which is annoying. Sorry, one moment. I hit the wrong button. Hopefully you're hearing me fine. I'm honoured to bring you this last round of engaging discussions with our extraordinary authors from the most amazing marketing book ever. And as we're wrapping up this incredible event, we will make the most of soaking up all of this the wonderful insights and inspiration you'll get. Now, if you have just tuned in, we do have some incredible deals for you here. We have got this amazing hub. You can use your phone to scan this code, and that will give you access to all the replays and lots of other information. So highly encourage you to do that and make sure you don't miss a thing. And on top of that, of course, we've got an amazing deal for the launch of our incredible book, The Most Amazing Marketing Book Ever. And it actually is the most amazing book ever because it's this incredible collaboration. You will hear more about that as we talk to our incredible people that we have got on today. So that Kindle book at the moment is only $2.99 USD. It's about $3 Australian if you're in Australia with me. So it's not much at all, and it's only on for a very short time. We would love you to buy the book, and we would love it even more if you would give us a review. That would really make our hearts sing. So with that, I'm just going to remove that again, and I'm going to let you know all about my first speaker for today. Now, for many of us, we don't even need an introduction because this is the most incredible man behind so many incredible books and the Rise community. So this person is Mark Schaefer. He is a keynote speaker, marketing strategy consultant, college educator. I think he's authored 10 or 11 books now, including, I do have them on my bookshelf over there, Known, Belonging to the Brand, They Make My Heart Sing, founder of Rise Community, the reason all of the authors here found each other and were able to do this. And Mark has written a chapter in this book as well on chapter 29, Personal Branding. So I'm just bringing Mark on now. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. What an exciting day! And the book is amazing. One of the craziest accomplishments of my career. And who would have thought that the book would have happened? And then who would have thought we'd be able to have 36 authors narrate the book, and now have 36 authors get on a 24-hour live stream. What an accomplishment! It's beyond my belief, beyond expectations of how good it is.
Incredible journey, especially as you mentioned, doing the audio is just to give that many people all create an audio book with all our different accents and our different nuances. I mean, I just love it. I just think it's an incredible thing that has been put together.
We got a comment from the audio editor, and this is an editor I've used for years for all my books. She does Audible books for authors all over the world. And she wrote me this note, and she said, when you told me what you were doing, I thought this was crazy. I didn't think it could be done. And when the whole book was done, and what we're talking about, if you're just tuning in, is this the most amazing marketing book ever was created by the Rise community, a community of marketing geeks, and everybody wrote a chapter, and then they narrated the chapter based on their topic of expertise. And the audio editor said, not only did this turn out to be an amazing audio book, the content of the book is truly incredible. So she, and this is coming from a very experienced editor. She was blown away that we could accomplish this. And I think the audio, we've got the Kindle book available and the paperback book available. The audio book won't be available probably for about 2 weeks. But when you listen to this audio book, it's like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
I love that.
We've got people from 10 countries. We've got people, and then so you listen to the book, and you have someone from England, and then someone from Belgium, and then someone from Italy, and someone from America. Then you have Fiona from Australia, and it's really it just pulls you through the book. It's absolutely delightful. I'm really proud of it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just been so incredible to be part of it. But I really want to talk about your chapter. I mean, personal branding is totally your thing. And one of the things that I know there's a quote from you that personal branding is increasingly important in a noisy world. It may be the only thing to keep us ahead of AI. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that statement?
Yeah. When ChatGPT came out, I was an early adopter, and I wrote a blog post, and I wrote words that I've never written before. I said, marketing has been changed forever today with ChatGPT. Even when the internet started, it took us a few years to kind of figure out how we were going to have some business applications for this. And so I interviewed a friend of mine. There's this famous tech analyst named Shelley Palmer. And he's blogged every day for the last 15 years. He's a very famous person here in America. He's on all the big TV shows. And he said, Mark, he said, when I tried this, I was absolutely terrified. He said, I asked it to write a blog post in the voice of Shelley Palmer. And I asked it to write a blog post about the challenges that Facebook was facing from a U.S. congressional investigation. He said, not only did it write it in a beautiful way, it did research to name the specific legislation that was under consideration. He said, that's research I would have had to do, and it created this amazing blog post. He said, I am 80% replaced.
Wow.
Now, what's the 20%?
Yeah.
The 20% is his personal brand. And that's what I mean. Going into this world where artificial intelligence is nipping at our heels of our skill sets, perhaps even our careers. There was a study that was released by Deloitte just last week, Fiona, that projects about 30% of the tasks being undertaken by sales and marketing will be replaced by AI. And of course, if you're kind of lower down on the ladder, it's probably going to be a greater percent. Yeah. So that's what I mean. And this is something I've been shouting from the rooftops for 6 or 7 years, that increasingly the personal brand is everything. It's not just your relevance. Yeah. It's just not you being successful in this era of AI, but increasingly the personal brand is the brand.
Yeah.
People don't, they don't believe your ads. They don't believe your marketing messaging and your PR. They want to know, who are the people at this company? How do they run this company? What do they stand for? How do they treat the environment? How do they treat the employees? And we may not see ads like we used to in this streaming economy. We may not believe ads like we used to, but we believe each other.
Yeah.
And so I think this point that Shelley made is very poignant, that that 20% that's going to keep him relevant is his personal brand, because he's known, he's beloved,
there's the word,
trusted. And in this world of misinformation, when we're not going to know where to turn to find the truth, the personal brand is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And I love that you used the word known, because that was coming into my head then, that when we're talking about this, some people think that personal brand means you have to get out there for fandom reasons and like be a
No,
celebrity, and totally not. It's all,
no,
as you said, about being known for your quality and your heart. And
yeah,
even as you were speaking then, it was making me think, that 20% was making me think of, the Wizard of Oz and the Tin Man, and he didn't have a heart. Like AI is the
mm,
Tin Man, can do a whole lot of things, but doesn't have a heart. And we're the
yeah,
heart.
right, yeah, and I think you're exactly right. I mean, and when I teach my classes and workshops, and in my book, I talk about really being known. It doesn't mean you're famous necessarily. It doesn't mean that you have to do dances on TikTok. I mean, everybody has a personal brand. Okay, we'll do it. That's the clip that
Got to
everyone's
do
going to
that
keep.
that
That
thing.
right there. That's the clip everyone's going to keep.
Yeah.
Um, but it's everybody has a personal brand. It's what people think about you based on their observations, that you're reliable, you're funny, you're creative, you're a leader. And so your personal brand is just sort of curating this and amplifying you at your best. It means having the reputation, the authority, and the presence to give you the best chance to get your job done, whatever that is. It could
Yes.
be raising money for a charity. Well, guess what? If you're known and the other charities aren't, people are going to listen to you. It could be raising capital for a business, getting
Yep.
new customers, writing and selling a book, or being invited to speak on a stage. Today it's so competitive in all of those areas
Mm.
that the only personal equity we have in our careers, literally, is, are you known or not?
Yeah. It's
Okay, so you and I have been friends for a long time, but you don't know what I accomplished in my career. You
no.
don't know the awards I won. You don't know how many people work for me. That part of my corporate career, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Nobody cares. The only thing that makes me successful is I'm known.
Yeah.
Either you're known or you're not. And if you're
Yeah.
known, that's what breeds success.
Yeah, that's awesome, and something I hope that the listeners really take in and think about as sort of the longevity of your brand, is that being known is so much more important than being famous for 5 minutes. So how do you see marketing ideas and branding strategies then changing? Because it's such an evolving landscape at the moment. We tapped into AI briefly then, but it just seems like we've always said, it's like a moving carpet all the time, isn't it? So, where do you think, the branding strategies are going to head?
It's funny. In our book was created by the Rise community, and the Rise community is on Discord. It's free. It's open. If you want to join, all you have to do is send me an email, which you can find on my website. And yesterday, we had a branding expert in our community. We had Andy Cunningham. Andy was the brand manager for Steve Jobs. She
Amazing.
launched the Macintosh computer. We had her in our community talking to us about this very question, Fiona, about the future of branding. And I think this is such a fascinating idea, that if you think about the fundamentals of economics,
Yes.
or finance, or even sales or HR, like there's certain principles that are grounded to the center of the earth. But branding has changed so much. And I gave an example in our group where a few months ago, employees at Google walked off the job because they disagreed with a branding stance that Google was taking
Yeah.
around what some of the things they were doing around defense contracts. Now, I'm thinking, when I was a young guy in business, that would never cross my mind to walk off the job. And here's the reality: employees are informing the narrative of our branding.
It's true. Yes. Yeah.
Advocate, social media, people who are loud, have loud megaphones on social media, are informing our brand narrative.
Yeah.
And the most important thing today, and the most important thing to realize in the future of branding is this: that today studies show 2/3 of our marketing is occurring without us.
Yes.
It's happening on the things we're saying in Discord, the things we're saying on social media, the things we're saying to each other in real life among family and friends. It's what we say in reviews,
Yes.
testimonies, and these things maybe even being said by influencers. So that is really the marketing mindset of the future. Is it doesn't really matter what we say, because today a brand message isn't what we tell you, is what people tell each other. So the marketing mindset today, the branding mindset for today, is how do we earn our way into that narrative?
Yeah.
How do we earn our way into that 2/3? Now, this 2/3, this is based off a study that was completed by McKinsey in 2019, before the pandemic. I think that number is even higher today. I could argue that by 2030, 90% of our sales, it's not going to come from our marketing.
Right.
It's going to come from what people are telling each other. So the marketing mindset today is, how do we create something so unmissable, so entertaining, so cool that people can't wait to tell each other about it?
Wow. And that's incredible. And anyone listening, if you don't know Mark, he's incredible futurist as well. So if he's saying 90%, I believe it, right? So start making adjustments, because we really need to be ready for these changes that are coming so quickly. So what skills do we need then? That kind of a really good segue into what are the skills that we need to be able to cope with such change?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that come to mind. So one soft skill that I think is super important right now with marketers is empathy. To really get down on an intimate level with what's going on with our customers. And we used to think about psychographics and social profiles, and but we really need to get down into what are our customers, how are they suffering today, how are they changing. And if you think you know your customers and you haven't done any research before 2020, you need to go back and rethink everything that you're doing. I think that's a big idea. Another big idea is, how do we stay relevant in this fast changing world? And I think what we all need to be doing as marketers is dabble. I think it's impossible to be an expert in anything anymore. No one's going to be an expert in AI, despite the millions of claims on LinkedIn. No one's going to be an expert on the internet. Nobody understands the economy. But to be a great leader today, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have all the right answers. You have to have the right questions. And to have the right questions, you need to be dabbling, experimenting, get a digital wallet, buy an NFT.
Yeah.
In our community, we do experiments in the metaverse. You've helped us create some of those experiments. Just dabble, just try it. Learn how to move in the metaverse. We're learning how to give presentations in the metaverse.
Yes.
So dabble. Then
That's
the
awesome.
third and final thing is, in terms of where the future is going, is we used to be able to see irrelevance coming at us. So there was like a progression of change. So the internet started, and you could say, oh, it's the internet. Maybe I'll take some classes.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll study something. But the changes happening today are so rapid and so unpredictable we can't really see this coming at us. And I think
Yeah.
one of the things I talked about in cumulative advantage is this idea of really assessing what are your core skill sets, and thinking, well, I don't have to get a new degree or read a lot of new books. What I need to do is see how I can apply my skills in a way that are relevant to these waves of change that are coming at us. And
Wow.
I think that's a key to being relevant today. One example, a huge mega trend is the whole thing about mental health and
Yes.
wellness. Okay, so you have to think about, all right, there's all these new products being created today that are comfortable, that are soothing, that are
Yeah.
nurturing. All right, so how can we have the most belonging company, the most
Yes.
belonging university, the most belonging symphony, the
Yeah.
most belonging insurance company, to kind of like connect to, so you take what you're good at and connect to these waves of change to become newly relevant.
Oh, I love
So
that.
those are a few of my ideas about really where the world of marketing is
Absolutely.
going right now, and how do we deal with it.
Just brilliant insights. I just love it. So, what about marketing mistakes when it comes to personal branding? What do you think people mostly? I mean, we did touch on not needing to be famous necessarily with the known,
Yeah.
but what are the biggest mistakes? Comes to mind. Obviously, to me, is quite often we start to self doubt about our worthiness out there.
Yeah.
So, what can you explore around that topic?
Well, I actually wrote a blog post about that this week, talking about, the sort of the 5 pitfalls of, even if you're working hard, why sometimes it doesn't work. But it's easy for me to answer what the number one problem is. And it's this: people quit too soon. And when I wrote Known, I went down this weird rabbit hole. I actually interviewed 97 people around the world who are known in their field to learn how did they do it. And I found this pattern. They all did the same 4 things, and that became the book. But the last question I asked them was, if you could give one piece of advice to people who are reading this book, how to be successful with a personal brand, what would you say? And almost every single person said something about resilience,
Yeah.
tenacity, don't give up. Because creating a successful personal brand and seeing the rewards of that, it's not a hockey stick. It's slow. When I say hockey stick, do you know what that means in Australia? Is that a common term? Or am I
Not a
confusing
common
you?
term, but I used to play
Yeah,
hockey.
yeah. Boom, hockey stick. It's like nothing happens, then everything happens.
Everything.
It's slow and steady. If you look at my chart of subscribers to my blog or my podcast, there's no hockey stick. It's a little bit better, week by week by week by week by week. You show up, you do your best work, you're generous, you help people, you engage, and you just don't stop.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing, is you have to be tenacious and not give up.
Yeah. And I think, and that's, so important. I mean, resilience is a really big part of stuff that I do in my own work as well. I think it's something that we really need to encourage, and particularly in our children, for future generations, because they just have to be resilient, because the world has got so full of change. So for our future leaders, building that resilience, I think, is so vital. So I'm really glad that you brought that up as well. I can't believe how fast this time goes, honestly. It really does. I want to know, what inspired you most? We did talk a little bit at the start when you came on, but about what an experience this program has been. But what's really inspired you the most out of this whole project that we've embarked upon?
Yeah, well, I think, just to step back for a minute and
Yep.
to just to like help people appreciate the scope. We're talking about this book, the most amazing marketing book ever. Is I sort of had a dream for a long time to see if there was a way to sponsor a book project where people who had a dream of writing a book someday, maybe they weren't in a place in their lives where they could really do that, but they could write a chapter. They could be a co-author of a book.
Yes.
And then we started to get some momentum in our community, and there's so many smart people from all around the world. And then our mutual friend Daniel Nessel said, have you ever thought maybe we could write a book? I said, funny you should ask that. I think we should do it. And so we laid it out there. I think it was, maybe 9 months ago, the project really started. We had people sign up, and it almost like the needs of the book kind of fit almost exactly the expertise in the community. And then we had people volunteer to edit. We had people, everybody wrote a different chapter. And then we had Frank Prendergast design the cover. And then we brought in professional editors. We had volunteer editors. We had professional editors, professional designers. So everything about the book is beautiful and bold. And it truly is one of the most amazing books you will ever see. What's been the most inspiring to me, Fiona, is a lot of people have said, oh, Mark, this must have been like herding cats. And it was 100% the opposite. Wow. Every author of this book took this very seriously and gave all of their passion, all of their heart to this project. They gave everything to the writing and the narration and the design and the promotion. We hit our deadlines. For many people, it wasn't easy. We had some struggles with the writing. We had some struggles with the narration. But anytime we had a problem, someone in the community stepped up and said, I got it.
Yeah,
I'm doing it. Look at this live stream, 24 hours of marketing tips from all of these authors. I had nothing to do with this. This was all volunteers.
Yeah.
It was you and Ian and Cami and lots of others, all the hosts today, Yuri and Daniel and Chad. And, and Cami, Cami, look, Cami, she has a marketing agency in Houston. She volunteered her whole agency to help us promote this book. So anytime we had any problem or opportunity, someone in this community raised their hand and said, I got it.
Yep.
Don't worry. So it wasn't on me. It wasn't hurting cats. It was inspiring leaders. That's what this book was about. It's just giving them the opportunity to deliver. And they delivered.
Yes. And the opportunity you've given is perfect. And it just circles back to community. Like, you were not afraid to have faith in the people in your community as well, which has enabled everyone to have that confidence, I think. So, it's just all round a brilliant experience to be part of.
And it's been, and my goal, in my heart, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
And so it's not just about being a co-author of a book. That's a great accomplishment. But I also wanted everybody to experience what it's like to be an author. Yes. And there were a lot of emotions. This was like a reality show in many ways. There were ups and downs and, anxiety and tears and concerns and victory and, glorious celebration. And there was just a lot of passion that went into the book, but everybody gave it their best. It's a beautiful piece of work. I'm completely proud of it. I wouldn't put my name on the book if it wasn't bold and beautiful in every way, and it is.
Yeah. So beautifully said. Well, we are winding up onto our into the next half hour, so I'll be getting ready to bring in Kareen Abu. So, Mark, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today and giving some more insight on personal branding, on your chapter, and your deep insights just into the whole area of personal branding and marketing. So. Thank you so much. And from personal note, Thank you
We'll
for this
remind everybody
opportunity.
one last time that the book is on sale on
Yes.
Kindle for $2.99 for about
Yep.
a week.
Where have I put it? That way.
Grab it now. Grab it now. It's available in paper and the audiobook with 35 or 36 narrators is going to be available in about 2 weeks.
That's amazing.
Thank you, Fiona. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks so much,
Have a
Mark.
great evening.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so folks, I'll just be doing a couple little things before I bring our next speaker on. And as Mark said, you can scan this code right now to get hold of the book. So please do. We get excited when we see another ping to say someone has bought the book. Makes us very excited. If you have just joined us and you've missed a lot of the streams, here's the code that you want to scan right here. This is the Instant Replay Hub, and that'll give you links to all the replays and lots of other amazing information as well. And you can learn more about all the authors there as so that learn more about it. So far I'm just having a ball being here today, and let me just make sure that I haven't missed anything there. Oh, of course, one thing I would like to, someone scanned the code. I get excited. So I feel like I'm on one of those shows where you're bringing up the product to sell, but just also that what we would really love is we would absolutely love to have your reviews. That means a lot to all of the authors, so please do that. So I'm just about to bring on our next author. Let me just take that off. And I am going to let you know that who I'm bringing on now is Karina Boo. I hope I'm saying your surname correctly. She's written Chapter 8, The Content Marketing Strategy. She is a content marketing consultant and author, a former lawyer, entrepreneur, 13 years of experience in conceiving, launching and implementing B2B content projects and marketing strategies. And she's also the founder of the French Content Marketing Academy. So I'm just bringing her on right now. Ta-da! Here we are. Thanks for waiting so patiently in the background.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you very much.
Delight to have you on.
I'm just very happy to be here.
Okay, so let me just see. So content marketing, well, it's a big chapter really, because it's something that, it can... One of the things I often hear is that people still say, build it and they will come. But it's pretty far from the truth, really. So I guess my first question, to you is, what are the common marketing mistakes that you see around this area, and how can they be avoided? Because you need a reality check sometimes, I think, when it comes to content marketing.
That's a great question. If I answer very spontaneously, I would say two opposite mistakes. Either entrepreneurs say, no content. I'm not a content person. I don't want to go into this. I don't know how much I know how much it's going to cost, but I have no idea of how much I'm going to get. So no, I don't want to do any content at all, but I want to be on TikTok or I want to be on social media. So that's where usually you start to laugh a little bit. The opposite, you have people who say, yeah, sure, content, like we have to be there. We have to be on TikTok. We want to start a YouTube channel. We want to do LinkedIn. We want to have a blog and then repurpose and then whatsoever. So it goes all over the place. And in both cases, it's not working well, obviously. But you have, I would say the biggest mistake, if I give it a more thoughts, sometimes would be to think too much before started something, right, or investing too much in tactics and not thinking, upstream, sometimes for much cheaper amount of what is it we're going to do. What is the story we want to say? Where do we want to say it? Who are we talking to? All those questions, usually they skip this phase because they want to buy something actionable, something that they can measure with comments and shares and stuff like that. And they skip the most, according to me, the most critical phase, which is by what are you going to start? For which purpose, with which goal? How are you going to measure? How will you know that you reach out success. I would say that those are the three main mistakes that usually entrepreneurs are doing
Yeah.
when it comes to content marketing. It's going to be another story now that we're entering the AI era.
Yes.
But now we're all going to do mistakes anyway because it's a whole new world starting. So
Absolutely.
I think we're going to talk about this. I hope.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue into my next question, which was marketing and the technology that it relies upon is constantly changing. We've always got something new. So, yeah, how do we work with that? How do we adapt our strategies to stay ahead?
To what? To AI?
Well, just a rapid change to all the time. The way the technology changes, the platforms move, yeah.
That's a $1 million question. I love
Yeah.
this. Alors, that's a French word. Sorry, it's just get out. What I'm, brainstorming about. No, most seriously, I just heard what you asked Mark Schaefer also, asking him, what are the main, skills you need to get in
Yeah.
this ever-changing world? And of course, I'm 100% agree with what Mark said, but I will also add like trying to manage anxiety and trying to stay young in your mind, and young / humble, because it's new. We're not 20 anymore. Everything is changing,
Yeah.
including, like, for content marketer as I am, SEO might be not really there anymore. So we just have to learn and to review the entire, notebook and start from scratch almost.
Well,
And
yeah.
you have two ways of saying this. Either it's extremely like triggering anxiety, or at the opposite, you can see it as an amazing opportunity to stay young, to discover, to embrace change. And of course, I do think that the main skill for that is, of course, not, as Mark said, not to try to be an expert in anything, because that's honestly absolutely undoable. But at least remain curious. Never consider that something is not for you. And that's something and that's really a big deal with AI, because you have a very big part of this thing that is like very tech, and that can be extremely scary, not to understand how it works and how it just came out. For some people, I mean, like some marketing gurus have anticipated AI for like the past 10 years, since it exists in 1950s.
Yes.
But for most of us humble humans, we're just hearing about it and realizing that it exists since ChatGPT, to be honest,
Yes.
So I think the best approach, I know that I talk for myself, and I see myself as more as an entrepreneur than a content marketer itself. I truly say, okay, is this thing is big or not? Yes, it is. So should I get into it? Should I try to understand how it works? Should I like really try to, see how it will impact my job? In which part of it? Can it make it better, easier? Will I lose my job? All those types of questions. We don't need to be like Larry Page to understand and to ask those questions, and try simply to answer it by reading, being curious, and most of all, not saying this is not for me. I think that's a very big risk, and nobody should really say that.
Yeah, it's true. I think, what we don't understand is what we're afraid of, right? So if we try to gain some understanding, and it doesn't mean you have to learn how to code, right? In fact, AI is taking a lot of the need of that away. So, it really, I think, is that keeping curiosity, having an attitude of lifelong learning will always really help people to keep ahead. And as you say, I think one of the important things is that, and Mark touched on it too, the issue of mental health, things like anxiety, they're really prevalent today. And we want to do things as business owners and as marketers, we need to be looking after ourselves, don't we? And really making sure that we do everything we can to reduce that kind of anxiety. And the way we do that is, as you say, to continue to learn. So, with that, what do you think you would tell someone who is just starting out, either not just as a marketer, but perhaps in business itself?
So the funny thing with this question, and just to come back upon what on what you say, which was very true. Anxiety comes with things that we're afraid of. I don't know for you, but I often tell my kids, always start by the one thing that scares you the most.
Absolutely, yes.
That's gonna fix the problem afterwards. So that's exactly my recommendation, starting for entrepreneurs who don't know exactly how to start and where to start with AI. Come back to your question. What was the question again? Sorry.
If you're just launching a new business, just starting out on your entrepreneurial journey, your
Oh,
business
yeah.
journey,
Yeah, very good question. No, excellent. So the funny thing with that is I would not have give the same answer like a few months ago, or even when we started the book, than I would give it right now.
right.
As of right now, with the picture of what I'm saying now, like considering content, marketing, and AI, I would say three things. Invest in yourself as an entrepreneur. Start by you.
Yep.
And I'm going straight and fully deep into personal branding.
Yes.
And it's not because I'm in Mark Schaefer community. I'm in Mark Schaefer community because I was absolutely blown away by his book Known,
Yes.
because that was so much what I thought the future would be.
Yes.
And I do think that even more now that there is AI, any marketing strategy should start by personal branding. I was already
Yes.
recommending that a few years ago to some of my B2B customers, and I was not always followed by them. But
Yes.
that
I
was
know
still
that
my
feeling.
recommendation. But as of right now, I think that's the first step to conceive. The second one, I think, the second mistake to avoid is that as of right now, we used to conceive content, especially when it was placed on a website, through this idea of topic cluster. And this idea came because of Google and AI, by the way, but AI integrated in the search engine and not as a chat. And this AI enabled the search engine to detect our search intent, which leads us to, of course, run after every search engine update by Google. But for marketers, it meant that when you started a website, you wanted first to understand the word of the industry, the
Yes.
word of the business, the word that the entrepreneurs and the customer were using when they were talking about a certain industry or business, and building a websites around those main topics and keywords.
Right.
You would build them around clusters, and you will build pages, and sometimes it was written content, sometimes it was video, sometimes it was like this, but everything was based on topic, on a home base that was the website, and that was for the most part how we were starting. As of today, I would not recommend doing this. Of course, we need to wait what Google is going to put out there with this search SEG, the
Yes.
search, oh my gosh, I forgot the word. It's changing so much. Anyway,
Yes.
we're switching from SEO to, search generative experience.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the keyword. So now it seems like only 3 links are going to be placed at a search results page.
Yeah. Right.
It's pretty much the same thing today, but like if there is only 3 options for a users when he searches something or when he asks a question to a chat, it means that fighting to be ranked on those 3 links is almost lost before you started, unless you have $1 million marketing budgets or whatsoever, which means that you have to be on different platform. Of course, you still need to have a website,
Yep.
but the best marketing strategy might be to be a little bit everywhere, which is kind of crazy because this is not really what we used to recommend. But to do this smartly and with success, You have to start by you and your personal brand, because nobody will follow you on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and whatsoever if you're just talking about your product, your service, or what you're selling. But they might follow you and they might notice you if you talk about yourself and you trigger trust, if you like trigger something that, oh, this guy, I want to be connected with him.
Yeah.
I want to follow him. So
Yeah.
it's not that much a mistake not to conceive. I think it's just an entire view of what is a content marketing to rethink almost from scratch. I'm sorry
Yeah.
if it's depressing.
No, it's fine. And I think it's, as you said, and when it comes to the personal brand, putting it out there, people will connect with you if you do still have to give value in what you're doing. So rather than trying to say, hey, buy my stuff, it really is about saying, hey, I'm of service to you. I want to give you as much value. I've got something to share I think will help you. They'll come across that, and if it's relatable to them, it keeps them engaged, doesn't it? It keeps them really interested then. And it is hard, because I think everyone thinks, oh, you've got to go onto TikTok and sing a song or something like that, or sure, you can have fun with it, but I think the end thing, everyone's doing that. So what again will stand out for you is that personal brand of you, what you're actually giving to people and how you're helping them as well.
100%.
So we always like to ask this question of everybody. What did inspire you to be part of this project?
So many things, but thank you for asking, because that's the emotional part of this interview.
Yes.
I love this. No, the first thing was that I've never been very good to follow people, but I followed Mark because of his idea that I was sharing deeply.
Yes.
His humility in his book. So I read one, and then I read a second one, and then I read a third one. And what I thought was amazing was that man, and I'm not comparing with any other marketers, but it was like what you saw outside was the same as what you saw inside,
yes.
Which means he looked very reachable in his book, and he actually was on his website. So
yes.
I just basically started by reach out to him once, and that was honestly the 1 hour that changed a lot of things in my life. The best $200 I invested, I have to say that.
There you go.
And from there, that's the magic of, and that's what we were talking about personal branding. Once you truly adhere to someone's ideas and value, what happened is that you trust him.
Yes.
So when the guy tells you, hey, I'm starting this Web3 community, do you want to try Token? I didn't even know what it was. And honestly, I was not so interested into that. But because Mark said, oh, yeah, that's new. That was hype, that was like trendy. So I said, yeah, I have to try this. Why not? So I tried. And then from one thing led to another, I felt onto Discord. And my husband would tell you that I'm not very like adventurous, I don't like to try many things. And it's hard for me. But because I trusted him, I just followed him on what he did. And I was, I think, one of the earliest to follow, very, very early.
Yes.
And as for the book itself, I'm like, I used to be a lawyer and I have a PhD, which means that I spent 3.5 years of my life commenting 5 lines of the secret codes in France and writing 376 pages about it. So I like to write. That's something I like to do. I love to do. And I love research. So when he said, let's do a book, I said, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want to do.
Yay.
I jumped on the project. I was one of the first, I think, to pick this chapter. I almost begged him to give me the content marketing strategy. And here we are. This is unbelievable when you think of it. This is just crazy. And by the way, small marketing lesson here. Everything started by trust.
Oh, I was going to say, as you were speaking, I thought, and something I've listened to in nearly every single session that we've had from when this whole live stream started hours and hours ago, is the word trust comes up all the time. And it's the one thing we struggle to find now. Trust. In a world that's so saturated with misinformation and even with deep fakes and things coming up, it's going to even challenge us further. So that's where, like, you know, I'm about community, because I think we need to keep engaging with who we know is to be real. That said, I made a video of myself the other day and turned myself into a robot. That was a lot of fun. But so, you know, you can have fun with it, but I think the important thing is that, to build that trust, you've got to take all these different values that people have been talking about the whole time, and that is that authenticity that you've talked about. When you've met Mark and you find him, he is humble, he is somebody who truly speaks. And I remember that was what drew me to him in the first place. Would be, I went to Social Media Marketing World in 2013. It was the first one. I think it was 2013, 14. I'm pretty sure it's 13. And he was like the keynote speaker. And I just went, oh, who is this person? He's like singing my language. You know, it was just,
Exactly
he was
right.
about humans. He was about authenticity without that being a throwaway word that it tends to be a bit now. He just naturally spoke in such a way that it just, you know, made you totally have faith and trust. So absolutely amazing. So Daniel's just put a little comment. I'm just going to drop that up there. See, trusted sense makers. There you go. Not about influence, but about trust. And I think it's so true. That is such an important thing to do. So our time's starting to wind up. So what I did want to do is make sure, would you like to just recap for us a little bit about what your chapter covers, so that people, when they buy the book, and I'm going to put the little code up there and let people know right now that if you get the Kindle book at the moment, it's only $2.99 USD. If you're in Australia like me, it's around $3.10 or something like that. And that's for about another week. So grab that book. We'd love you to. And don't forget, give us a review, because it's such an achievable book to get through. And I say that because every chapter has been built on a structure of 10 actionable points that you can take on whatever area of marketing that you're listening to. So with that, let's go into Kareem's chapter.
Okay, so my chapter was about, so the brief was share 10 ideas.
Yes.
And my challenge for this chapter was that I will, of course, I was not pretending to reinvent the wheel, you know, like, tell me something new about content marketing. No, I won't, because that's not doable. But what I wanted to do was providing both some little bit different ideas and within a framework, because I do think that the most difficult thing for any entrepreneurs of small business or larger who wants to start with content marketing is that they don't have the roadmap in mind before starting. And when you're a good entrepreneur, you need to know where you're going before you go.
Yes.
So that was the first thing, providing them with a frameworks, like easily understandable. On that, really, there is nothing new there. This is like, know your audience, find your goals, set up your goals, start to think of a content format, create the content, and whatsoever. I try to emphasize two things that I think are a little bit not different, but really critical. The first one is, of course, to not don't skip the market research phase. I think it's critical.
Research.
And in today's world, I mean, like today, at the time we wrote the book, again, today's world might be a little bit different. Market research was like keyword research.
Yes.
And entrepreneur sometimes struggle to understand this. They have to at some point join the two, because what they're telling about their business is probably what is going to be said online too. So at some point it has to be connected. So I provide entrepreneurs with some tactics to go straight and deep into a market research to extract the proper keyword strategy and content strategy afterwards, and even to find some niche opportunities for product and then for content, because the two of them are related. And the second idea I think is a little bit like kind of innovative, sorry.
Yes.
Is really to integrate personal branding in a content marketing strategy. And I'm not, of course, I didn't invent personal branding, but I do uh, really believe that in especially in today's world, um, starting a content strategy by your personal brand, by building your personal brand, is probably a smarter strategy than any other content you could create. And I will just gonna be a little bit bold and saying two things about this that I wish I could have had in my chapter, but we'll talk about it afterwards. It's
Book
great.
two, book two, it's fine.
Yes, I'm here,
It's
and I'm
coming.
on first,
You know, Mark,
I'm
we're
going
all here.
to the part two of content marketing strategy. In the part two, I will be with AI for sure. So, I have two things I want to say in terms of content marketing strategy. As if I would recommend two things to do today. First, start a community. I didn't emphasize this enough in the book. I do think that if it's the best way to get connection, ideas, um, impulse, like energy, client, customers, everything. And I'm going to tell you why I do think it's even more relevant, because that's going to be community are probably the first place where you won't have any AI content or fake content. Or at least if you do, I think community members will, of course, notice it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So that I think is something I would add today. I would add today. And the second thing would be to think of a kind of bold idea, is that considering that at some point the internet will be full of content generated by AI, ultimately, because you even know that now that ChatGPT is using our own prompt to create more content on that. So
Yes.
just imagine and envision what it can be. It might be a good strategy sometimes to prevent yourself to create some content and to just keep it for your community, or to
Yeah.
just keep it for in-person event,
Yep.
and making sure that it's not going to be found online anywhere. Just save it to build the trust of your community
Yeah.
member and
Yes.
for the marketing strategy at large, but not necessarily putting everything out there on the internet as we used to do.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we do need to differentiate and make that step. And it's a bit like, having, like, in the Rise community, you've got the general community, then we have the VIP community as well, where you get another level of, value coming from Mark for that. And I think that's so valuable. And, it is content that is not given to everyone. It is something, it's kind of the reward, right, for
Mhm.
the faith and the loyalty and the that you're putting in. So I think that's a really relevant thing to mention. And welcome to everyone who has been joining us. Thank you so much. Wherever you are in the world, it could be very late in the day, or it could be at night, or it could be early in the
Good
morning,
morning.
depending where you are. So for me, it's heading for midday. For folks in Perth, it would be about 10 o'clock in the morning. And what time
Isn't
is
it
it?
amazing, by the way? Isn't it amazing in itself that, like, we never met? You're like the opposite. You're there. It's morning for you. It's night for me, and we're talking and we're gathering and we have friends that are commenting and everything.
Yes.
It's like phenomenal.
It's
Honestly.
beautiful. It is absolutely amazing. And, I think it really highlights the collaborative experience that the book has had, doesn't it? Just that everyone has been so willing to step up and to be part of something, and then to continue that, to give up their time to share. And it's just been amazing. And so we're coming up on your. Can you believe how fast these sessions go? Oh, seriously, I cannot. I've got Cami
Especially with
waiting.
me. You ask me to talk, I can talk for hours. So it's
Oh,
good that
hello. Thank you, Mark, by the way. Mark's just given us some little kudos there. So with that, I'm just going to I just clicked a welcome. I didn't mean to click that one, but it's okay. We welcome everybody. I'm just going to bring up again the Kindle book here. If you haven't got the book yet, please do scan the code and grab that book now. During this week, the Kindle is only $2.99 USD, around $3 Australian, and not sure what it is in euros, something similar, probably three-ish. Yep. And yeah, make sure you do buy it. And the other thing is that we would love you to do a review. We welcome those. It helps to inform us, perhaps for that second book that we're scaring Mark about as well. And also we have this instant replay hub that our next guest that's coming on actually has put all this together, this incredible hub, and it's where you can get all the replays and lots more information. So do check it out, give it a scan, and see what is in store. So, Corinne, thank you so much for joining me today, and have a wonderful morning.
Yeah, night first.
Night.
I'm very
sorry.
tired,
Have a good sleep.
No, night first, but I want to listen to the others. It was an unbelievable day. I'm telling you, I've never had experienced anything like this in my life. That was really awesome. And just to finish, I came in this community not knowing at all what I would get, and I just leave there many months after with so many friends, so many good people,
beautiful.
so many
lots of heart.
Everything. So lots of hub, and yet go get that book. That's the best book ever. Truly.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you again later. Okay, let me just take this down. I will wait one moment. I'm just going to put the book back up, and I am going to introduce our next guest to you. So now I'm going to make sure. I'm going to probably say the name wrong. Cami. I think it's Hoysie. I hope I'm saying it right. Cami Hoysie has written chapter 14, How to Build a Future-Proof Social Media Strategy. She's a social media strategist, speaker, community builder, coach, and author. She's really one of my kind, I can tell you that. I'm loving her already, and I haven't got to know her real deep yet, but I feel a real affinity. She is the founder of Smart Social Secrets online community for PR, marketing, and business consultants and coaches, the CEO of Zoetica.media.com, a social media marketing agency, and her chapter is all about future-proofing your strategy. So, Cami, I am bringing you up right now. I'll get rid of that code for now if it wants to go away, which it doesn't. There we go.
Just scan it first.
Yes, scan it first. Welcome. You have had an incredible journey. If you don't know yet, because you haven't tuned in on, Cami has been fundamental in getting this entire thing together. I've been part of the team. She's been amazing to work with, and the whole reason that we have this event. Oh, someone scanned the code. Yay!
I know. I saw it. We love that when you scan the code. I mean, you just scan it.
Yeah, just
makes us happy.
Scan it. It brings joy. It brings joy.
Joy.
So
absolute joy.
Let's get right into this. I'm a strategist myself. I believe in the power of flexible planning. We really need to be very nimble these days. So my first question to you would be, how do you adapt your marketing strategies to stay ahead in such a rapidly changing landscape?
I am so glad you asked that question. I took this chapter because it is probably one of the hardest things right now. Social media strategy changes like basically every week. And so the challenge was write a chapter that gives you the kind of insight you need to write a strategy at any given time, like between now and say 2 years from now. All bets are off after 2 years. Yeah. I can't really help you out, but because things do change that fast. So yes, I think, I based this book around some big ideas this chapter around some big ideas about how to structure your social media in a way that it's going to stay relevant no matter what happens on the social media platforms.
Yes.
And things are changing all the time. One of my biggest tips there was all around how the platforms are not something that we own.
Yes.
We don't own those platforms. And so they make the changes all the time. And this happened after I wrote the chapter, but one of my tips kind of, talk about Twitter, but Twitter's like a big platform for me, and it always has been. And I lost my blue check mark.
No.
But that what was that blue check mark? It was fake. I mean not fake, but it was a construct,
Yeah.
right? It was something that was there that, yeah, I earned it at that time. Things were great, but things are different on Twitter now, and you can buy your blue check mark.
Yes.
Have I bought the blue check mark? No,
You didn't.
I have not.
I did.
I did not. Well, and I don't think that there's any wrong or right
No.
about that. I've been using the platform less, and so I just didn't feel like it was a good investment at this time. But that's exactly the issue. What I'm going to say is that, and it's the big overarching thing about the whole chapter, that community is the killer app.
Yes.
Community is the killer app. And the reason why is because you want to see where your community is congregating, and that is where you will congregate on social media. So you can have a Twitter strategy, a TikTok strategy, whatever, but what you need is a community
Yes.
strategy. A strategy to serve that community wherever they might be. And yeah, it's going to be a lot more like many more platforms.
Yes.
I don't know if you've looked around, but every day there's a new platform launching,
so
getting like
many.
hot. There's like Mastodon. And by the way, in the book, we didn't mention any of these platforms because we know that like next month,
Yes.
there may not be a Mastodon anymore. I
Exactly.
don't know. I mean, things change every day. So, I know that my kids are going back to Snapchat right now. I mean, everything is just changing and shifting in this market. So what isn't shifting is your community's desire to connect with each other.
Yes. Yep.
That never will change. And so social media, and Mark talks about the weak links of social media. They are weak links, but they are pretty strong when it's based on an actual foundation of a community.
Yes.
That's the key. And so, your community will follow you wherever you go, or you'll follow them wherever they go, and you will continue to connect with them that way. So the strategy really is, well, yes, what do you want to accomplish for sure? And what kind of messaging, all the things we've been talking about here are the messaging and the things. And then, think about how you can connect with that community, and things like AI, artificial intelligence, and things like something that MJK is going to talk about here in a minute, which is automation. Those things they can help humanize you. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but so I talk a little bit about that in the chapter too, not about what they talk about, but the idea that your social media strategy needs to be much more personalized.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's a lot of spew. So what do you want to talk about that? So that's it.
Well,
I mean, there's a lot.
Oh, look, I mean, I think we could probably talk for 3 or 4 or 5 hours on all this stuff.
Yes.
And people are commenting here, so I'm just bringing all this. And I do think, I wrote the chapter on community, so you're singing words to me.
Yeah,
that,
I mean, it all goes together,
it
right?
Does.
It goes together.
It absolutely does. And it's just, I'm kind of finding it wonderful that we are tapping into this, and it's like we said about humanizing. I think when I did my talk earlier, I said I hate the overuse of the word, but it's truthful because I think it really is becoming something really vital for us to embrace, and as you've pointed out. And so what I'd like to have you an example. It could well be the one that we're in right now of a successful marketing campaign that you've been part of, and what made it stand out. And because we just talked about community, I can't help but kind of thinking we're in it right now. But
I mean, obviously what we're doing right now is like pretty massive.
Yes.
This has been very successful today, and I really appreciate everyone, but it's totally based on community. I'll go back a little bit. When Google wanted to launch its Google for Nonprofit platform, they reached out to us to create a campaign around that for the nonprofit community. And so we worked with N10. I don't know if you've heard of N10, but it's a community of nonprofits, and we worked with them to help do that launch. And that was really based around tapping into a community that was existing, and then working with them, sort of like you would work with influencers, but working with like nonprofit influencers. So thinking about social media in that way, it's very much an influence platform. Social media is, people have pockets of trust, I guess. We've been talking about trust. Yes. They have pockets of trust on different platforms. And and really they just have pockets of trust. They have communities, they have micro communities or even big ones. So we like to work with, when I work with influencers, I like to work with what I call the magic middle of influencers,
Okay.
which are those people, the millions and millions of followers. Most small business owners and people like that will never work with them because they don't have that kind of money. They don't have that kind of influence. So I like to work with smaller influencers that have like strong communities,
Yes. Yeah.
because then you can tap into that trust marker with them. So, they trust you and then they share you with their community. And that really works very well on social media. So thinking of it, everything is consensual, little concentric circles
Yes.
and the spokes between them. That's why I say that community is the killer app,
Yes.
because your app, your Twitter app, your TikTok app, all of these things will and do change. I've been doing this for over 15 years now, social media and communication for longer. I don't want to tell you how
Yeah,
long,
yeah.
much longer. PR, public
Yes.
relations for much longer. And what I've learned during that time is that your personal relationships can only scale so far. I think the magic number is something like 140 people that you can be close
Yeah,
to, and
yeah.
and so on.
And your smaller
But if you
circles,
have
10.
if I have 140 people that have another little small circle around them,
Yes.
it's exponential. Do you see what I'm
Yes, of
saying? I
course.
just
Yeah.
like thinking of the circles and the spokes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's like, for every audience that you've got, if they've got their audience, and that it taps even into when we had now I've forgotten whose chapter it was about word of mouth and things like that. Zach, I think it was.
Zach, oh yeah, Zach.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so I think all those things tie in together, don't they? And
Mhm.
this is why this is the most amazing marketing book ever, because we literally have tapped into everything, and all together it becomes the perfect plan for everybody.
Yeah, that's why messages don't work on social media, by the way, because they do to a certain extent as far as people trust you. But if I put out a message, I have a small community around me that are willing to take that message and digest it and maybe act on
Yeah.
it. And then it kind of stops there, right? It's
Yes.
sort of like it's limited. But like if you have like bigger not messages but connections, do you know what I'm
Yes.
saying, where you are pulling a community together around a idea. And by the way, when you do that, it's not the community that's following you, it's you that's following the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's got, that's what brings people together. It's either shared value,
Yeah.
a shared ideal, a shared goal, something they want to achieve. So, you're dead on the
Something has to be in it for them. Even with what we're talking about today, Mark didn't create this event. He just facilitated
Yeah.
it. Like he allowed us to run with
Yes.
it. He asked a couple of pointed questions here and there, like, "Are you actually getting anything out about this anytime soon?" I don't know, just things like that. Thanks, Mark. So I just feel like you allow people to create the community, to
Yes.
co-create the community with you. And if people feel like they are actually part of the grassroots
Yep.
community, the community will grow on its own.
Beautiful.
As you said, I think you said that earlier today.
Yeah, I did. I
just
think
stole
I
that
did.
from
Sorry,
you,
I'm
right?
just pushing my cat out of the way.
Sorry. Well, that's okay. Hi, cat. You can bring it's late at
my
night
cat.
for me.
My cat would be a
Bring the
bit
cat.
rotten, probably. He made something
Okay,
appear
rotten
on my
cat.
shoulder. You never know, but he's quite large.
I told you that we were herding cats around
Yeah,
here.
that's right. That's right.
By the way, that was what I said.
Okay.
That we were herding cats.
So
right.
what I wanted, there was a couple of notes I had after I read your chapter 2 here.
Sure.
One of the things I wrote, and it made me think of, because we've often said, it used to be whether, content was the king and stuff, but you said culture is the new king. Can you explore that statement a bit, please?
Yeah, thank you. I love this. So one of the things I believe is really important is we have to think of ourselves as a little bit like anthropologists.
Yep.
Like we're coming into a community, an environment, an atmosphere, and we can't just come in and say, hey, look at me and we're going to do this. What you need to come in and do is understand the culture there.
Yes.
Understand why people are motivated inside of like something like a Discord channel or a Twitter channel or a community, hashtag community around a specific topic. teens are really good at this. Like, you know, I was looking at my son. He's on Twitter sometimes, and he's part of this. He goes into the Swiftie community, and they all have like a shared
Yeah.
language. They have a shared way of looking at things. I mean, Taylor Swift, by the way, for those
Yes.
of you who are not indoctrinated into the Taylor Swift community. But I was at the Taylor Swift concert with my kids, and what was interesting about that concert is every single word was sung by the
I
audience.
saw that a friend was there too, and she sent a
Mhm.
video. It was insane. I loved it.
And I did too. And I was in it, like I was in amongst it. And Taylor Swift would say, "And I see you guys have done your homework.
Oh,
You've come prepared." You've come prepared. And so she actually rewarded people emotionally
yes.
for their work,
Yeah,
you
she's
know, because they've
acknowledging them.
listened to hours and hours and hours of that music to memorize it at that level. I mean, I think my children didn't have voices for like another week afterwards. And so I'm just telling you that that is the kind of thing, if you can inspire it. And Mark's done a great job of that in Rise.
Yes.
Again, we put on this crazy 20.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I just thank everybody for coming along the
Oh,
ride with me on
absolutely.
this idea. I could not have done this by myself. Oh, I'm really good at the ideas. Let's just get,
Oh,
yeah, we
yeah.
got to get this thing out there. So
I think
thank
we're a
you,
little bit
Fiona. You
peas
did a
in
lot
the
of that.
pod. I think I can't wait to meet you in real
Mhm.
life, because, yeah, I'm like that. Ideas, But the best part is that
Mhm.
it's actually all come to life, and,
Yeah,
we're really
great.
working with it. So, and
So that's the culture.
yeah,
The culture is that you need to be an anthropologist. And what an anthropologist does is they go into an environment and they study first. And
yes.
then they they make, you know, notes and figure out how it works. That's how it goes.
I'm
You need to study first. So
anthro.
that's the strategy.
I hope I've spelt this right, because I'm just putting that up as a quote.
And
H. Let's see.
Anthropology.
Oh, I wrote
Anthropology. Yeah,
gist. Okay, why? I knew it didn't look right.
anthropology.
Oh no, I said be an
Or you can be an
anthropologist. Yeah,
anthropologist.
that's what I
That's
had.
good.
So was
Yeah.
that right? You know how you second guess yourself after
That's
you
great.
write a word sometimes, and I don't have I
Well,
should have had Chad here telling me, "Oh, you spelled it wrong." See, humans, people still make mistakes.
yes. Well, I've been awake since 5 a.m. this morning when this started. So I'm starting to like,
Yeah,
it's like
I'm a little bit
9
same.
o'clock, but I'm here. I'm here to the end. I'm in here to
It
the end.
started 8 p.m. for me the day before. So
You slept in the middle.
I had
You slept in the middle of
yeah,
this.
but I'd had a full day up to 8 o'clock. Remember?
I-
Yeah, I've had
I
3
I
hours.
do remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all good, and I
We're little
love it. I
slap
don't
happy
need it.
people.
Who would not want to
Sorry.
be part of this? So this is actually a good segue into, I think, talking a little bit about AI and how AI fits right into,
Yes.
this future proofing.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There is such a fear of AI and how it will ruin your job and it will take away everything from you. And there's a lot of fear around that. And rightfully so, because it will. Sorry. It will take away your job. But guess what? It was the
Oops.
most boring and laborious, terrible parts of your
Yes,
job.
exactly.
So, like, why are you crying about
No,
it?
exactly.
Why are you crying about it? Okay, sorry. I'm getting late here. I'm slap happy. But the truth is that we need to figure out, like in the social media side of things, especially, the personalization part of this is so important. How do we make people feel seen and heard at scale? I don't know how else to do it except for with AI.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. But you can't just set it, forget it, go on vacation, and hope that it actually, convinces somebody.
Yeah.
You have to be the mastermind behind it. See, I'm doing Taylor Swift, the mastermind. That's a good song from Taylor. But you have to be the mastermind behind it. You have to learn how to wield it. I was listening to Mark talking about his friend who asked AI some questions,
Yes.
but the pointed questions he asked, can you write this in this style with this
Yes.
voice and that person? You have to be sophisticated in how you put the information in. AI is like a toddler.
Yes.
It needs guidelines, it needs guardrails, it needs you to tell it. And one of my employees, Tracy, said something the other day. She was at the Mom 2.0 conference in Arizona recently, and my friends run that conference. And so she was one of the keynotes, and I can't remember who it was because she didn't she told, it's third party here, but what she got out of it was this, that the AI needs to be fed good stuff in order to be, spit out good stuff.
Yes.
And by the way, positivity needs to be put into the AI so it learns positivity. We think it's going to be this horrible, mean, terrible thing. And if all you do is put horrible, mean, terrible things in it, it will become that,
Yeah.
just like a toddler.
What do you think,
So why
though,
don't we
just before you go
put in
past that, just I
positive
wanted to
things?
grab you on that.
Sure.
'Cause, one of the
Mhm.
things I have heard, though, is that if it's grabbing, because it grabs a lot of information from the web in its original data learning,
Mhm.
how
Yeah.
much bias and influence has been picked up by that negativity that is already out there? That's sort of like, how do we counter that?
Well, yes, and it has. I think emotional intelligence has become even more important than it ever has been. This is not in my chapter because it's not what my chapter is about. But
no, we'll go
I
back
do
there.
believe I do believe strongly that emotional intelligence is something that we need to teach deeply to our children and to ourselves, because I think you can spot it if you are emotionally intelligent. And so if we get blind to that, I think it's understanding there's biases in almost anything. We have a confirmation bias, which means we look for things that are kind of agreeing with what we already agree with. Like our friendship, Fiona, it's based on confirmation bias. That's just where we're headed with this.
Yeah.
But it's because, and I'm okay with that because I think it's positive. Um, but you have to understand that there is a confirmation bias in everything.
Yes.
And so, yeah, you have to look at that. And I think we have to be wise about that. And
Oh,
is it
always.
going to overtake us? I think yes. I think it's going to be hard to know anything. But I asked ChatGPT about myself. I wanted to see what it said about me. And I said, "Who is Cami Hoyza?" And it spit out this wonderful thing about the strategist and expert and won all these awards.
Yeah.
And P.S., it told me I won a bunch of awards I didn't. And that I went to a school I didn't go to. It lies. It totally lies. They call it hallucinations. It lies. And so you know what I did? I said, no, I did not go to that school. And no, I did not write those awards. And no, I did not write that article in Entrepreneur magazine. I
Did
didn't.
say sorry?
And guess what? It did kind of. Yes, it did. It said, "Oh, sorry, I guess, upon looking further, I see that that's true," is what it said. And then I asked it again recently, like a
Yeah.
month later, and it cut out all the stuff that wasn't true and only left the
Yeah.
stuff that was just sort of like in my bio.
And I think just sort of,
You can train it.
yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I think where people are perhaps making mistakes a little bit too, in regards to, if they're just incorporating, oh, we'll put AI in our strategy, and then they're not looking at, I have seen where I can tell straight off it's written, because they've gone from more of a natural language that they use to this flowery kind of, really what I call putting the puffery, if we want to, go in the old PR sort of words and things, the statements are all inflated. And I had something similar. Somebody said, can I have a bio? And I threw an old bio in there, and it came back, and I went, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but in Australia we say I sound like a total wanker, right? It's just like, it was
Yeah, you can say that.
awful.
Yeah,
It was just awful. It was
bad.
nothing. And I said, I'm not like that at all. And it said, I'm sorry. It's like, okay.
It will apologize. It's funny. Oh, and that's just where we're at with that. Oh, by the way, I want to say one thing before I know I'm interrupting you.
No.
But Sandy says she's going to bed. Sandy says she's going to bed, and I've literally seen her in every live stream since this morning. And I just want to give her a little shout out, a little love. Sandy, you are a trooper. You've been here all day. I've seen you in here,
done.
like throwing in the knowledge, giving us everything you have, and sweet dreams. And I'm a mom. I've told everybody during this process, go to bed. Go to bed. It's fine. It's fine. We really should.
Oh, love it. Okay, so we'll get back to the whole. I mean, what I love about these conversations is that we're able to explore a little bit more about, we talk about know, like, and trust. And I think by talking a little bit outside of just our chapters, we're showing a little bit more of ourselves, which, I really love to do. However, that being the case, what about your country? What's the story behind exactly why you did choose this really broad topic, really, isn't it? Strategy is huge, and future-proofing a business is massive. So kind of what's your backstory to that?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. I really wanted to do this chapter for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've been working in social media, doing social media strategy and working in social media for over 15 years now. And the social media strategist job was 15 years old, I think last year sometime. So I've been in this job since the beginning, like since it became a thing.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I have a lot of experience. I've done a lot of things. I've worked for a lot of brands, big ones and small ones. And I feel like that I had sort of a understanding about that. So I really wanted to take this particular one on because I just wanted it to be something that talked about how important it was that your strategy is based on the people that you are trying to reach.
Yes.
And that it's not just about trying to get the things you want to get, trying to get the outcome you want to get. You can get outcomes doing this. P.S. We are in top trending on the books on Kindle right now. So this strategy works.
Yes.
No lies about that.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just say that?
Globally.
Because I'm really excited about that. By the way, I got no love in my family tonight when I told them that.
Oh,
They're like, oh, whatever.
yeah,
Mom.
yeah. I was a bit like
So-
that. I was sending texts going, "Hey, we're training," and yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I said, how about congratulations, Mom?
Yes.
Anyway, I just said, anyway, it's really important that you do get results from your strategies, from your social media strategies. And this is a huge social media strategy because we are live streaming on multiple platforms, which, by the way, is one of the tips in the book and I think we said that in the last session too. Kareen Abu said something about being everywhere, and multi-channel solutions are really important. And guess what? This made it really easy to be multi-channel.
Yes.
Like
Very.
we could easily, with automation, be multi-channel with this kind of a strategy, which was why I picked it. Also, I love video. I love live streaming.
Yeah.
I've been
we've
doing it
streamed
for
this particular
years.
25 different channels
Yeah.
we've got on this particular one. So it's going out everywhere. So people that if they miss it, I don't know, they must have been asleep.
Yeah. Well, they might be asleep right now.
Well,
honestly.
here they're eating lunch.
Or whatever. Yes.
Funny.
So-
Yeah, so I'm just going to pop up that code again too. You've made these amazing things. So this one is for the Instant Replay Hub. And since I've got Cami here who made it, would you like to do the spiel on the hub?
Yeah, sure. I made the hub. So this is the landing page. If you got an email from us, you've already been here, but it's changed a lot in the last 24 hours. We continually change it. Right now, it actually even has this video streaming on it, which is pretty cool. It also has a link to the book where you can buy it. We're using actually the other QR code link. We're using a link from there. It's the one that if you click on it in most countries, it'll take you to the right book site, except for in Australia for some weird
It was
reason.
doing something weird. That's
anyway,
okay. That's fine.
That's okay. We'll figure it
I
out.
still got it.
And so yeah. So yeah, we want you to buy the book. You can also get this on the hub, but the hub is really meant to be a place for you to get all the information you need about the book and about what we have coming up. I will, if you also put your email address in it within the week or so, I'm going to be sending out a searchable hub website where you can see all of the streams that we've done all day today and search them by keywords, names,
Love it.
so on. So if you're looking for something about Facebook, you can put it in there. If you're looking about strategy, every time we mention the word strategy, it'll pull up exactly in the video where we talked about strategy amongst all 6 videos. So it's a really powerful hub, and it's yours for free if you put in your email address. And we're just going to send you a couple more emails about the book. We want you to buy it. We want to interact with you. We have a few more surprises coming up, including, MJK has something really cool coming up that we're going to be sharing with you in a couple of weeks.
She's coming up
And
next.
then we're going to do a behind the book series, which is all about how we put this together. I'm going to interview everybody who has been a part of this about their part. And yeah, so there's just a lot of cool stuff coming up, and I don't want you to miss any of it. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. See, it just doesn't time fly when you're having fun. That's for sure. We've only got a couple of minutes. So my last question to you was, what has been the most significant learning experience in regards to strategy? for you?
You mean
Well, in regards
like
to
social
this
media
particular,
strategy, or in this?
well, in regards to future-proofing your business, you know, like the
Oh,
actual topic of
yeah.
your book. What would you say you've learnt the most? Is there something that you can have, like one last quote, one last big statement that we can share out?
Big statement. Yeah, like a quote. Oh gosh. So way back when I moved to Houston, I started the social media breakfast of Houston
Yes.
because I moved here, knew no one, and I had no connections. And so, one of the things I would say is that if you're not getting the traction that you want, you feeling alone and isolated, you start it,
Yeah.
you do it.
Yeah.
You start it. You start what needs to be done. So if you see a hole in the marketplace or in the social media sphere, I mean, social media is just part of it. It supports it. If you see something that needs to be filled, you fill it.
Yeah.
And it will attract people to you. It 100% will. So I guess that's the biggest thing about your strategy. Look for the place where your interests, the interests of the communities align and overlap, and then look for the sweet spot in the middle of that and build something there.
Beautiful.
And that will always work.
Love it. Well, Cami, that rounds us beautifully up onto this session. So I thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a brilliant experience, and
Yeah, amazing.
really enjoyed chatting to you. Have a wonderful evening. I think it's evening.
It is evening
yes.
for me.
And
Yes.
and I look forward to chatting with you again soon, and seeing you in the community and seeing you in real life.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we'll talk to you soon, and I'm gonna go down in the audience, and I'm here for the rest of it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Okay, folks, I am just going to have a very brief little break before I break on our next person. So I'll be with you in one moment. Oop, don't need the book on top of me. There we go. Okay, getting ready for our next guest, and we have just got a couple more people to go, and then we'll be winding up. So it's been a pretty amazing experience so far. I hope you're all enjoying everything that you have learnt today. I'm just going to pop these codes up again just to let you know. Again, you can buy the Kindle book. You just can scan the screen with your phone right now, and it'll take you there, and should divert you to the relevant spot. And the other one we have, which also has a link to the book on it, will be our hub, which is the instant replay hub, where you will get access to all of these videos and could even be watching this one right now. Okay, so we are getting to the pointy end of this, and the next person I'm going to be bringing on in just one moment is Mary Catherine Johnson. She's also known as MK. She has written chapter 32, an awesome title here. Marketing AI is anything but artificial. I haven't got my headphones on, which is a bit silly. Okay, so she's a conversational marketing designer, strategist, and speaker, helping business incorporate many of the AI tools that she talks about and trains others how to do so effectively. And I say to you, as I'm bringing you on here we come. You are in one of the most fascinating and fast growth innovations in marketing ever in history. I mean, it's incredible and it's scary, but I love that your title of the chapter puts such a great spin on it, saying it's anything but artificial. So jumping into that, I actually want to know how you see marketing ideas and strategies evolving with the adoption of AI.
Oh my goodness. Hello,
Hello.
Fiona. How are
I'm
you?
good.
I'm so happy to talk to you. We've only talked once before, and I've seen you all over in Discord. But yeah, that's a really good question. How is marketing strategy changing with AI? At least that's how I interpreted what you asked. And really, I've got to say the major strategy difference with AI is curiosity and humanity, being, actually coming down to being human. We can no longer, as many of the other authors have talked about today, because I've been listening and I know you've been talking a lot about AI. So many of them have talked, they've basically said the same things, which is we can no longer just put up a sales page or use AI, at least generative AI, to just create copy for us and be done with it. You really, and as Mark said, maybe the generative AI gets you 80% there, but you need to really add the human touch to it. And really branding in general, and specifically using any kind of copy in your marketing, has gotten to a point where you have to make sure you are true to who you are. We're no longer in an age of, outline what your avatars need and what your avatar wants, and then just go create your copy for that. We are in a time where we need to be true to ourselves, and those avatars will find us if we can use the generative AI and bring the human element back into it. It really is, be curious about this new AI world, but stay human.
And I think that's going to be the most important thing, is that making sure, like, staying human, not getting lazy and completely just going, oh, whatever it's produced, just, yeah, I'll run with that. And I think I said to Cami that I have seen a little bit of content that way that has been, you can just pick it straight away because of the type of language it's being used, or the structure even, when they haven't used a very good prompt, haven't worked it well. So I think, there's that issue, isn't there, of people just like they're grabbing on because it's something new, but maybe not taking the time to learn about it enough. And so they're just, buying lists of prompts and things like that may not even suit their business, right?
I've got to say that is perfect, because the other strategy that you need, that brings us to another topic on strategy. The other strategy you need to adopt is not necessarily what is your marketing funnel or what is your niche or any of those things. If you're going to use AI, you're going to need to be a very good prompt generator. And then, yes, you can let the AI write 80% of it, but then you still have to massage it. So most people are going to say, write me I just was using ChatGPT. I call it Chat Guppyton. I hate GPT. GPT makes no sense. So I just created a name, Chat Guppyton. It has all the letters. It has GPT, but it's Guppyton. So it's his name. So
now I'm picturing a little creature,
Guppyton.
But yeah.
You've humanized it. You got to do that. There you go. So I was in with Chat Guppyton, and I was asking him, because I think to write me a 5-part welcome email series for a wait list. And I gave the very specific criteria of what this new software, this new app was doing. And I gave it very specific prompts as to the tone and the benefits of the software and all the things that it does. And it wrote me, again, 80% of the way, very short, very specific wait list email series of 5 emails. But you have to know how to put those prompts in. Otherwise, you're just going to get vanilla junk that is being generated by everybody. And if you want to stand out, if you want to actually be a brand that matters, that stands for something, then you need to know how to use this tool and generate your own very specific prompts, but still be human and be curious about what it can do. Cammy, it's MKJ.
Then she wrote it there. She's just letters are getting turned around.
You're getting tired, dear.
She's been a trooper, that's for sure. Oops, I didn't.
I know.
I know. I can relate.
Yes, you can. What, you got a 3-hour nap?
I did, but yeah, but I also had been going up all day the day before, so it's like it's all fun. It's all fun.
We can all do anything for a short period of time, can't we?
That's true. That's true. All right. So what about the common mistakes you're seeing? So we're sort of tapping into that a little bit now because we're talking about bad uses of prompts. But, you know, the mistakes you're seeing them making, especially in regards to like rapid uptake and how they can avoid it. Because, you know, and one of the things too is that I've been saying to some of my clients, be careful, there's so much stuff coming out. You could invest all this money on something that's absolutely useless in like a week. So slow down.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe.
I agree. So yeah, we've already talked about, and we'll put that as number one. One of the most common mistakes is just jumping in and using it without playing with it, and then taking what you've created and thinking, oh, it's great, it's wonderful, and I'm going to use it. So definitely go in and play, be curious, but again, be very human.
Yep.
Make sure that the responses you're getting are applicable to your business. But really, the way that you can avoid that mistake is another mistake people make, which we've already talked about, and that is prompts. Basically, if you go and there are so many gurus. Fiona, we know there's so many gurus just going, I've got what was it? One of my friends said they've got a 10,000 prompt list. I'm like, those 10,000 prompts mean nothing to me. They're like going and getting 10,000, pots and pans. You got to know what to put in them.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't just use it. You have to know what to put in them. You have to customize them. So those are the two main mistakes. But I think another mistake is thinking that some guru who is all of a sudden now an expert after what, 9 months?
Well, some of them after 2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks, yeah. I mean, it's really, but I'm saying like Chat Guppyton, my buddy Chat Guppyton has been out for what? How many? 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And not even, and they're an expert in AI, and they've got a course that you can buy and all these prompts. I'm not saying they're terrible. I'm not saying everybody who's doing it is terrible. I'm just saying that's a mistake to think that you're just going to go to a guru who tells you that they know everything about this and just take what they say and go use it as a framework. That's no different from using another pen because their framework, their prompts are not necessarily going to work for your business.
And I've always felt like if you buy a set of prompts and everyone's using the same ones and it just dilutes it and But we've got a great question here that's any advice for in-house marketers who are concerned about any seemingly harmless information being picked up by a Chat Guppy that could be mass issue for proprietary corporate strategy?
So let me read that again. Any advice for in-house marketers? Okay, you're a corporate marketer who's concerned about possibly harmless information being picked up by our buddy that could be massaged to infer. Massaged. I see. To infer proprietary corporate strategy. Okay, that one you are going to have to tread very lightly in my book, and you are going to have to, if you're going to use our buddy Chat Guppyton, and you are going to possibly use that for any of your internal marketing for your business. There are other tools that you need to also use, plagiarism tools. And you can use those so that anything that has been created by the generative AI, you can verify whether it's plagiarized or not.
Yeah, that's important.
And you can do other research. You can actually ask the AI to say, what are your sources? And you can ask them, what other sources have you seen this information or have you got this information from? So yes, that's the laws are not written.
It's gray areas everywhere, isn't there?
It is, and I would be very cautious if I were working for a large corporation or any business. We're in the same realm as when we first started using images online, and everybody just thought, oh, if I see an image online, I can just go copy
Yeah.
and paste it and put it on my website.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what those rules are until people get in
Yes.
trouble, and they are created. So yeah, be very cautious. Use the plagiarism tools and ask the source, ask the generative AI, where did you get
Yeah.
this? What sources are you using?
Although I did that for one thing, although it has improved when it was still 3, and it
Yeah.
just gave me made up
Yeah.
resources. When I looked them up, I went, these
Yeah.
aren't real at all. I think Cabby said she had
Yeah.
something similar as well. So I was really
Yep.
shocked, about that, because
Be careful.
it just made
Yes.
things up entirely. So and David's just said here, I'll come back to this question that I had up there, but yeah, a great suggest. Oh, I can't, I'm over clicking, too excited. I must be getting tired. I'm like, click, click, click. Yeah, asking for the sources is really, really important. And actually, I'm just going to Cammy's as well, because she said how it responds to the same prompt after using. And yeah, it really does start to learn more about you, doesn't it? About how you speak to it, how you write, or how you write to it. It is chatty though, so it feels like speaking.
Yeah, and you can design your prompts like that email series I was telling you about. I didn't start with a question. I started with a maybe 3-sentence description of what I wanted. Then I said, taking the above information into account, write me a 5 email series for the wait list. And so, yeah, you really do have to be very sophisticated in your prompts.
And it will just keep learning. And I'm sure what we get now, what we'll get in 6 months' time is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And
it's 6 months. Try 3.
Well, that's why I went even longer, because I think it'll be predicting what we want to say by 6 months. It'll know before we knew what we wanted, right? And so just following on that other question, saying companies are forbidding people to use generative AI tools for fear that even anonymized info could be identified. So look, it's what we don't know scares us as well. And it is a really broad area where, as we said, we haven't made the rules first. We're jumping in as we always do, and create and clean up the mess afterwards. So I can't believe how fast this whole thing goes, I have to say. So what about some favorite tools that you would recommend if you're just starting? Because, I touched on before that, warning my clients, don't start investing in absolutely everything, because, it's going to be thousands of platforms. And I think they're talking about it in the start of the sessions about, the MarTech and how much, there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of apps and things. Like, they're going to disappear. Some are going to burn. Some are going to, collaborate with each other and form something better. So what's your advice around that?
Yes, there are so many tools. A quick story, I was talking to a consultant actually, he's a consultant, and he has a group of about 15 companies that he's asking questions in AI. And these companies are AI tools. So two of the tools that I'm mentioning could be among these tools. And these AI tools are already trying to differentiate themselves from other AI tools, because the market's flooded with AI tools. And so what and here is a hint for the future. What these companies, every single one of them, are asking this consultant for voice.
Right.
AI. So they already have text. Now they're going, how can we want to differentiate ourselves, and we want to add voice. We want to add audio AI. And so there's the next wave, and it's going to happen before you know it. So in terms of answering your question, though, there's a couple of tools. Number one, the easiest one of them that I think it would be good, especially for people just starting out. Let's say you're starting out your business or you're starting out your product. There's a company called Namelix.com. So it's name and LIX. And it basically uses AI to help you create the name of your business or the name of your product. And you feed it prompts with some descriptions and keywords and all that good stuff, and it will come up with a list of names related to your product. So that's namelix.com. The other one is a little more sophisticated, and this is for marketers, not necessarily just small business owners. And this is get.successpath.ai.
So DOT spelt dot?
Get, get successpath.ai. So get.successpath.ai. And this one I wrote about in one of my chapters. I think it was chapter 7. Tool 7, number 7. And this will allow marketers, this is you want to talk about productivity.
Yep.
Most of us marketers, when we do split tests, we have been drilled into us split test only one thing at a time, right? Because then we'll never know what the response is if we split test a bunch of things. Well, this success path can actually allow you to split test like 5 different button colors, 5 different headlines, 5 different sales page copies, 5 different images, all at the same time.
That's amazing.
And give you a report as to which one of those combinations performed the best.
Wow. So these are the tools that really make a difference, aren't they, to the day-to-day work, rather than just some of the things. I mean, there's a plug-in for everything now as well. So it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I do think if you're just dabbling.
But there is another tool.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you, there's all kinds of newsletters that you can opt into that will send you all of this information. And the key is going to be your filter, right? You're going to need to develop a filtering device. Even though all of them sound exciting and wonderful, you need to be able to filter out the ones that you might be able to use and benefit your business. Don't just chase every shiny. You want to talk about shiny objects and squirrels and all. They're all shiny. They're all squirrels. You're just gonna have to filter it. Okay. Take your little nuts from over winter and
put on your shades. Avoid the shiny objects.
Chase only 1 or 2 squirrels, and that's it. But there's one that I subscribe to called AI Tool Report.
So these are in your chapter, aren't they too? So I'm going to just suggest to people, to get all this list, they should buy the book.
Yes.
So that's the way it'll work, and then you're looking for, it's chapter 32. Yeah, 32. Yep. So, just everyone, if you are listening in and you want to get these incredible list of tools that are going to be a great place to start from, in particular, without getting overwhelmed, then head into Amazon, scan that code, grab the book, and all the chapters are written. They're not long chapters. They're written in 10 tips that you can action easily. So it covers a whole gamut of marketing, and as we say, there's about 350 ideas in that book for you. So absolutely amazing investment for the Kindle for $2.99 right now.
Oh my gosh!
Have to do that.
Gotta get it.
So it's incredible. All right, I cannot believe how fast these sessions are flying. We could just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
I know.
All right, so before I get, probably sidetracked and want to talk more AI, I just want to know a little bit about how the experience of writing the book has been for you, because, that part of the community stuff really sings to my heart.
Oh, I wonder why. Yes. So I have to be honest. I've been following Mark for, probably since 2016, 17, maybe. And I got to meet him the first time. We were speaking at Social Media Marketing World, and I was part of the Rise Coin. But I'll tell you, this book project, being part of this book project, I could not have strategized this. I could not have created a plan to become part of this book if I tried. If I lived 1,000 years, I would not be able to put together a plan that got me where I am now. And the thing that has allowed me to participate in this process is, again, just curiosity. I am absolutely always open and curious and saying yes to a lot of things, not shiny objects, but people that I respect. And being part of the Discord channel, I'm not really good at Discord, and saw something one day about this book and chapters, and I'm just like, I kind of shook the sleepy dust out of my eyes and going, well, what, wait a minute, what is that? What's going on? And I came to this, and all the AI chapter was taken by someone else. And I was like, oh, that's the one I want. And then like the next day, Mark comes to me and says, gosh, the person who was going to do the AI chapter has dropped out of that and wants to do another chapter. Do you want AI?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I do. And this has been an incredible journey with all of these people. And just, I know all of us are so anxious that we want to provide the absolute best quality that we can, because we know there are 35 other authors that we have to match, we have to meet in terms of that experience and expertise. And so we're all bringing not just a game, man, we are going way above and beyond and worrying about what we do. And I think that has just made me so much more aware of every word and how it's going to be perceived and how will it be able to be utilized by small business owners and marketers. And it's just been an incredible experience. I can't wait to share the tool that I know I got to interview you for. I just cannot
it's so funny
wait.
Because Cami is just asking about it. So I'm going to pop the hub up again because Cami has said to tell us about the app with all the interviews you did that'll come out in June, because the official launch of the paperback is the 8th of June. And I'm really excited. Are you going to the meetup?
I believe so. It depends. We're in the process of selling our house, and the close date of the house is around that same time. So if everything goes according to plan,
what a party it'll be. I am going to travel to Knoxville for that. So
oh my gosh.
Cami is saying if they go onto the Instant Replay Hub here, not only do you get the replays, but you also will get into the email list to get access to this app that you are going to tell us about, that we all have been part of.
This is called Relate. Relatable is the name of the software, and it's relatablebuilder.pro. That's the actual place you can go. We're actually in a wait list right now. That's the wait list I was talking about. But this tool uses AI. So you can do, in this video version of our book, I interviewed all the authors, and you can find out about each of the authors and how they came up with the information. There are, I think, about 5 questions that I ask, and what I did with that video is you can interact with that video using this tool. I put everything in there. You as a viewer can go in and you can choose your own adventure with our book. And choose which sections you want to interact with and learn more about. Do you want to learn about content marketing? Do you want to learn about direct mail? Do you want to learn about branding? Do you want to learn about 5 Ps, right? What do you want to learn? Do you want to learn about AI? You can actually interact on your screen, on your phone, it's touchable buttons to choose which of these interviews you want to consume and interact with. And then you can choose which questions you want to hear the answers to and participate in the entire journey, all on video, all touchable on your phone screen or clickable on your computer. And it's just incredible. And the AI portion, if you want to use it as a person wanting to use these interactions on your video, there is an AI script generator in this tool. So you can generate your video script using AI, and then you can record your video on your phone, and then you can add these interactive tools to it to actually have people are no longer an IP address on YouTube. They actually are identifiable relationship building participants in your content. It's so amazing.
It is amazing, and I can't wait to see how it actually looks. I certainly enjoyed doing an interview with you, which was great. But yeah, it's going to be so amazing. And yes, Cami, absolutely super cool. Well, we are winding up to the sticky end now of our little section here, with only a couple of minutes to go. So I'm just having a look to see. I had a few notes here, and I wanted to see The point you made was about considering the ethics, and ethics is something that I think is really, really important. I still do work in reputation management to a degree, so all those sort of things have always come into it, as well as social responsibility. So just to sort of wind up, can we have a little bit of a chat about the ethics side of it?
Yeah, that's concerning for a lot of people. And there will always be people who utilize new tools in a way that is not ethical, that is just easy and quick, and they don't care about the outcome. And of course, we know those people aren't going to last very long, either in business or in marketing, because of their reputation that they're going to get. So the majority of us are going to be much more cautious. And in this, again, using, like I've mentioned, different plagiarism tools, paying attention to the political arena and the laws that are being talked about. You can do a Google alert,
Yes.
right? And do a Google alert for AI laws, AI regulations, anything like that, just to keep yourself abreast of what's happening. Because just like AI, the laws, the rules are changing all the time. But you know what's ethical. You know what you should and should not do. All of us know that. We have built-in monitors if we pay attention to them. And if we are being human with our content and just using these tools to supplement and augment what we do, you'll be fine.
Absolutely. And a little bit of research into each tool to make sure that, you're not just saying, oh, that sounds cool, and giving your information away to maybe an organization that isn't particularly ethical. So always do your research. Well, that has actually brought us up. I can't believe how fast this conversation has gone. I'm going to pop that little hub back up again, just because that's where people can get the book, they can get everything. And Cammie's just reminding me, she's just said there's so many little surprises and value in store for the email community. So please go to the hub, sign up, and just be part of, our community. Maybe you might even end up in the RISE community. Who knows? So,
oh my gosh, we would welcome you with open arms.
So, MKJ, thank you so much for joining me today. I've really, really appreciated it. I hope you have a really lovely evening, and look forward to hopefully meeting you launch day.
Thank you, Fiona. You're doing an incredible job. So happy that you've taken your time to do this with us. I so appreciate you, and enjoy the rest of your wonderful day in the future.
It's a team effort, and everybody involved has just been absolutely brilliant. So, thank you so much. Thank you. Guys, we've only got 2 more speakers to go. Can you believe it? It has been 24 hours of incredible knowledge sharing, getting to know the authors. I mean, it just brilliant. I've learned so much more about my fellow authors through this series. I've got a couple of videos that I've missed only, so I'm going to be doing those after this. I'm going to pop that little hub up again just for a second. If you want to scan that, gives us great joy when you do. If you buy the Kindle book, we would love you to give us a review on Amazon. That would mean the world to us. So without further ado, I'm about to bring on our next guest. Now, Lisa Apolinsky, I hope I'm saying that correctly. She's the author of Chapter 6, Moving Customer Experience to the Digital Front. Now, she's a digital growth expert, speaker, established author already, and has been dubbed by Forbes as America's digital content futurist. And wow, congratulations, that is a fabulous title to have. Customer experience is so vital, and so I am really delighted to learn from you today. So I'm just bringing Lisa in now. Hello.
Hi, Fiona. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. This has just been an incredible journey, and I'm kind of getting sad that it's about to end. We're getting right to the end. It's like, can't we just go forever?
I know. It's been
oh my
awesome.
goodness.
It's amazing.
let me just have a look. So one of the things I've tried to read everybody's chapter that I was interviewing, and there's just so much information on there. It's like, oh, my
Yes.
brain. But I'm a strong believer in relationship marketing, to me, and customer experience is so important. So, and
Yes.
from the first touch point onwards. So my first question for you is, what essential skills do you believe are necessary for small business to succeed in today's world?
So I think regardless of whether you're talking about customer experience or how you are outreaching or how you are creating social proof or how you are creating community or brand ambassadors, the most important thing is to have the skill of storytelling.
Yes.
So this is not sharing features and benefits. This is creating a future state. And I heard someone tell me, and I love this, storytelling creates imagination
I
for
love
the
that.
future. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. So how are you creating your stories, whether it's your client success stories, your personal brand story, the story of your community? How are you using storytelling to truly connect with your audience, inspire them to listen, and compel them to engage?
Wow. And that's so powerful. And I think a lot of people just get a little bit nervous about the whole word storytelling. You know, it's not once upon a time I had this big deep trauma thing, right?
Right.
So
Right.
can you
Absolutely.
just give a little bit of a sight, so that, say, somebody in a small business, you know, they're in a service industry and they're going, oh, well, you know, what story? I became an accountant, and what story do I have? You know, so they get really confused with what they can actually say.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I coach my clients on is persuasive client success stories. And I think that's probably one of the most critical things that businesses can do. Instead of talking about your features and benefits and the process of what you do, look at what the result is of people working with you.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like, you know, I don't want to say you feel like it's a gossip story, but you're really sharing another client's journey from where they were to where they are now. And your prospects are looking to see, how can you get me from where I am now to where I want to go?
Yeah.
So, and in my book, The Persuade with a Digital Content Story, I actually have a formula for this, because I am a huge believer in repeatability.
Yes.
Don't recreate the wheel every time. And it really looks at setting up your characters. Your client is your hero. You have a nemesis, right? There has to be an obstacle they have to overcome.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would they need your services?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you cue the mentor, which is you. You are not the hero, you're the mentor. And then the last three have to do with the details of your story. Are you making your story character centric? Are you talking about, as a result of working with me, this is what the client got?
Yeah.
And use those words. If you get stuck, use those words. As a result of working with me, my client was able to fill in the blank.
Move from here to there. Yeah, love it.
Exactly.
I love it. And this is more deeper and personal than like a case study, right? It's sort of similar, but
it's focusing on the details that will be important to your audience. So it's not about touting you.
No.
It's touting about the results working with you.
Yeah.
Because if you just talk about you, I could fill in anybody into that narrative and have the same conversation.
Yeah.
So the question is, how are you helping me solve a problem? And what does that future state of success look like? And when you do that, your prospects, your audience can envision themselves in the story. And if they envision themselves in the story, they go, you can help me. How do I start?
Love it. Sorry. And somebody mentioned to me before, hey, am I typing? Yeah, because I'm typing up the little things to go on the ticker. So if you do hear some little tapping, it's because I want to share a little gem with you on the way.
Right.
Unfortunately, I haven't got a completely silent keyboard. I wish I did. All
That
right.
is
So, I
okay.
mean, just all that is, really brilliant. And I know that, and the reason I asked that is because I recently had a conversation with somebody about case study and versus story. And I was trying to say how a case study is a bit more clinical. It's sort of a little bit, this happened, that happened, but it's not told in the way. Somebody's
Right.
saying, sorry. Sorry, I've just got the next speaker. I'm just going to, one moment, please.
Absolutely. And as you're typing, that's really critical, the difference in the storytelling. If you're talking about the things that you did, you're missing that last part, because they're not paying you for your advice. They're not paying you for your product. They're paying you to get them to a new
Result.
state,
Yes.
a new result.
Yeah.
So that's that's the value. If you
Yes.
focus on just what you're delivering, that becomes a commoditized conversation. It's transactional.
Right.
If
Absolutely.
you move to that future state, it becomes, what value am I adding by getting to that future state?
I love that. So moving on. So talking about customer experience then, what are common misconceptions people actually have? And then how do those listening to us overcome those? Because, CX, in some places it's, thrown around a lot. So
Yeah.
I think people don't necessarily understand exactly what customer experience is.
Right. So customer experience to me is in the entirety of how the interaction is for them. And a lot of the misconception is, well, the customer experience starts when they become a customer. No. It starts well before they become a customer.
Yes.
How you show up in your community, how you show up with engagement and content is how they will experience you. And so before we used to say, you have to extend the customer experience past the point of purchase, right?
Yeah.
That you have to have that support at the back end. Well, guess what? Now you have to move it to the front. And now you have to think about the customer experience well before they become a customer.
Yeah.
And I've heard it said, start as you mean to go.
Yes.
Start
I love
as
that.
you mean to go.
Yeah.
What are you doing before they even become a customer to make them potentially a brand ambassador, which you can do? You can create
Yes.
community and share information and be relentlessly helpful, where people
Love that.
will absolutely talk about your products and services, even if they've never purchased from you, because they
Yes.
see such value in it.
I love that.
And-
Be relentlessly helpful. I'm just
Yeah.
adding that.
And-
too.
And how can you really manage their expectation? Because that's what you're doing.
Yes.
You're managing what they expect the experience to be.
Yeah.
So you have to start well in advance. at
And
this
there's
point.
something to be said with a consistency then too, isn't there? Because
Yes.
you don't want somebody else to say, hey, and I've done this when I've done sort of like marketing audits with people to say, what's your customer journey like? And, it's like, you want to know that if, Patricia meets Mary and Mary says, oh, I had this experience. And I didn't get that. You want to make
Right.
sure that they've got that same feeling about them,
Right.
don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard people say, well, one of my features is I have great customer service. That's not a feature. That's
Yeah.
like saying, well, this person didn't rob me, so that's a feature. It's
Yeah.
an expectation.
I'm breathing.
At this point.
That's
Yeah.
a feature.
That's a feature. I can walk. That's
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's got to be the whole way through, doesn't it? And
Yes.
I think it's so much more important, and it taps into everything others have said, going back to the word of mouth and things like that, because quite often that word of mouth might be the first experience they've actually had of you, and it could have been
Yep.
good or bad, and if it was bad, they
Right.
possibly won't follow you up, but then they may have come across you and go, like that's what they said, I'm still going to come and experience you. And then if they don't
Exactly.
like what they experience, it's really going to
Yeah, you're starting
be
from
an
a
issue.
deficit. No one wants to start from a deficit. No one
No,
wants to try to win someone that they've never even sold a product or service to. That's not a good
exactly.
position to be in.
Not at all. Which leads me into my next question, which is how can businesses effectively monitor and manage their online reputation? What are some simple tips you can do to help them out?
Well, first and foremost, like MK was saying, make sure you set up Google Alerts. You can set up a Google Alert for your name and your business.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Simple, simple, simple. That way, as soon as something hits, you will be alerted, and
Yeah.
Google sees all. And then the next thing that I think is important is how are you showing up in your connections? If they are on social media, if they are on your website, if they are writing a Yelp review or an Amazon review, how are you showing up? And I don't mean to handle the negative.
No.
How are you showing up when people say things that are positive?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I don't mean thanks for the comment.
Yeah.
No. Take a little extra
Take a
time and
like.
actually, and it's this idea of you're building your community one-on-one.
Yeah.
And each interaction you have with someone is an ability to have that relationship networking
Yeah.
and to continue to build that relationship slowly over time. And people purchase from people that they know and that they trust. And
that,
every time you talk to someone online, it's an opportunity to develop that, right?
yeah, absolutely. And that word has come up, I think, through every single interview that we've done. The trust has been such a important thing, particularly in the world that we are living in today. So I think that's really, really important. And yeah, Google is such a simple, an alert is a very quick way to at least be notified of mentions of your company. Is there any other sort of simple things that you would add to that mix without investing in social listening tools? Or
right the one thing that I've seen influencers do in the channels that I follow, and I'm a huge believer in R&D, rob and duplicate.
Oh, that's not what I was ready for. Rob and duplicate.
Rob and duplicate. If there are certain emojis that you can use, so if you don't have the time to type out a comment, but people in your community know that if they get a unicorn emoji, it means something. If they get a heart emoji, it means something. And it means something personal for you, which means it shows up as personal for them.
Gotcha. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
I threw a cat in just because I like my cat.
Perfect. There you go.
What have we got here? We've got a comment coming in too. Oh, I need to get my little caption off there. You can tell I've been at this a bit long and getting this sticky and I'm getting slower on the buttons. Okay, so comment, building that community and trust takes time. With each of those individual interactions important for businesses to remember this. Absolutely, it is. That's so important.
I always say, and this is true whether you say customer experience or digital marketing or content creation, it is like a climb with no summit.
Right.
Wherever you are, you have 100% to go.
Yeah. There's no down.
No, there's no down.
If you start sliding down, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so what about, have you got an example of a campaign or a project you've been part of that really highlights this and, like what made it stand out for you?
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, I am a content coach. I actually don't know of anybody else who is a content coach. I kind of made up my own category.
Yeah,
It's
like
super
that.
fun. And one of the things that I work with my clients, with my teams, and I consider them partners, I look at the 4 C's. Community, connection, communication, and ChatGPT.
There you go.
There are 4.
That's a 4.
That's 4. So how are you creating community in order to support the best customer experience, to share knowledge, and to empower people to learn and make the best decision for themselves?
Yeah.
Whether or not it's to purchase from you.
Exactly.
And Yeah, they may be a customer in a day or a decade,
Yeah.
and that's okay. How are you connecting with them and having them connect to each other so there is that sense of belonging?
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Schaefer's book, Belonging to the Brand,
Yes.
critical.
Absolutely.
How are you creating those opportunities for connection?
Yeah.
How are you coming into the conversation? Are you just selling and fake selling and pretending like you're asking questions, but you're really selling?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
or are you asking, how can I support you? How can I help you? How can I help you get to a future state?
Yeah.
And
Which
yeah,
that journey
and
you
absolutely,
keep coming
David,
back
connection
to.
is so important, so
Yeah.
important. And
Yeah.
how are you leveraging tools like ChatGPT to make your content more effective, easier to produce, and yet still inserting your personal DNA, personal brand DNA, or your company brand DNA into your content so that it
Yeah.
still has that uniqueness and that human element?
Yeah, that's a vital thing, and I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with right now. Is that ChatGPT is so new, and all these AI tools, as we just talked about with Mary. It's like there is so much going on that trying to find the right way to use it, and I think sometimes it does mean less is more. Like pull back a bit to understand it before you go just throwing everything out there, because
Right.
one of the worst things you can get with customer experience would be, it's like those never-ending phones where you're trying to get to a
Yes.
oh my, and I had that experience. You've read, it's in your book, isn't it, about that? Because I'm sure I read
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah, the never-ending phone tree.
yeah,
And you're
and
going to
that's
have
it,
the
yeah.
never-ending bot conversation too. So I'm on a panel with another group, and we're discussing how ChatGPT is being used, how AI could be used for communication. And someone put in, well, it'll be great for customer service because you can have a ton of chatbots and no one will have to wait on hold. And I thought, yeah, but ChatGPT or AI is never going to replace that human connection.
No.
And that's great if they can answer some of the questions, but you're still going to have that person-to-person support, because you can't share empathy. AI is not going to be able to create empathy, create
No.
connection. They're simply going to be answering questions the way that they're programmed in an algorithm.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's, and that part's hard, and I know, and it's because I had the full experience. I've had the looping chat thing. Actually, I had one of my own bots doing that. I had to pull it down because it was doing something weird, but ages ago. But I was on a call the other day, and I needed to speak to someone. I'd had something delivered that was completely wrong, an expensive item, and I was trying to get, and it just kept, no matter what I picked, and then it would say, now say the word then, and it didn't understand my voice, and I was
Right.
getting so frustrated. I ended up
Yeah.
having to go to Twitter and find the company and started messaging them behind the scenes saying, I just need to speak to someone. Please
Yeah,
give me a phone number. Call me back. Email me with a
Something.
phone number. It's so
Yeah.
frustrating, and
Yeah.
that can really affect the way a person experiences your brand. I mean, it's put me off that particular
Yeah, absolutely.
organisation.
Because then
Yeah.
you're worried. Does that mean there's nobody behind there? And,
Yeah, and are you
What
even?
do
I
I
started
do?
thinking, are you actually based in Australia, or you're a company somewhere else? Am I? Where am I? Who am I being sent to? So it's
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
yeah. So it's
Yeah. It can be really scary. Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely. So I think AI can be used definitely to augment and to support your customer experience,
yeah,
but it can't replace the people in your brand. And if you do that, I think you're going to be really killing yourself in terms of where you go with your growth.
absolutely. And David just saying, just give me a human. Yeah, I think
That's
we will
exactly
hear a bit
it.
more of that, and I do believe AI will start to become more natural. The flow is getting better day by day, but at the same time, I also want people to let you know that, hey, I'm talking to a bot. I hope people don't hide it behind saying, oh, I'm Tammy and blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and you think you're talking to Tammy, but Tammy is an inanimate bit of code. It's
Right.
like, that is just not going to cut it in the future. And we've already seen that. I'm always surprised that social media sort of gave more strength to the consumer. Like we were given the ability to engage more, to make more demands on what we expect. Yet in so many ways, we've seen such a lack of customer service. I mean, dare I say Facebook back end. I mean, just about everyone just like what support, what anything. And, it, you know, all that money and all that ability.
Oh, I
and
totally
the
agree.
metaverse.
You give your credit card. And I had a workaround back in the day when I was doing Facebook ads much earlier in my career. I knew 2 people who worked there. So I had 2 people I could call, you know, so again, it's that back end. How do I, you know, and that's sad that you have to have that kind of workaround and you're like, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. And so many people, you know, you just get stuck in their endless loops. So I think it's anyone that is a marketer and works around Facebook, you know, a social media manager, it's just the bane of our lives, really, isn't it? It just drives us completely insane. I cannot believe how fast these sessions are going.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah. I know we've got like, you know, 6 minutes left. So, so was there a particular project that really stands out where, you know, customer service was just that you would call out this company and say they know what they're doing?
Oh God, someone who knows what they're doing. I have a lot of who don't know what they're doing.
You've coached them,
that's
and
a
now
great
they know what
question,
they're doing.
Fiona. You know, I think, you know, if you have like a local business where they're part of the community, customer service is an ingrained part of their DNA. Because they will hear about it if they don't show up for their community. But I think that's a great way, a great example. And you can think about that. And I'm sure there is in your neck of the woods, there's a company or a business where you're like, oh yeah, I know the owner. You know, you know, it feels like family.
Yes.
Those are best practices you should still do. And you can do them in the digital world.
Yeah.
Just because there's a screen between us, doesn't mean that you can't still show up and connect.
Exactly. It's so true. So I have to ask this because, you know, we're all authors going through this experience. So what inspired you to get involved in the project?
So I was listening to MK and her answer, and I was like, oh my God, I have a similar answer. So
okay.
I met Mark in I think it was 2015 or 2016. We spoke together. We were on a cruise ship as speakers, which was hilarious.
Oh, what fun.
Yeah, super fun. And, you know, we've spoken at other conferences together as well. And I just knew that he was someone that I wanted to. He was, to me, is for marketing, my North Star.
Right.
And when, you know, I heard about the Rise community, I heard about the Uprising conference, I wanted to make sure I was part of it because I knew it would be something amazing and big. Yeah. And when he brought up the book project, I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, I am, you know, I've written 3 books. This is my 4th with Mark. I have a 5th one coming out at the end of the year. And I still knew I would learn something from him. Yeah. I knew that I would. And because I'm a lifelong learner, and MK said the same thing, that it's the idea of I'm always open to new experiences, always open to new information, always open to new knowledge. And the fact that it was a community book project that's never been done before. Exactly. And I was like, I am in. And just like MK, when I was writing my chapter, I was like, this has to be the best chapter in the history of the universe. Yes. Because I will not embarrass myself in front of all these other amazing experts and be like, have him send me to the chapter back and go, that's not good enough. And I was so nervous writing it. And this is my first rodeo. And I was still like, oh my God, I want to make sure I do this right. And I want to make sure I always bring my best, but I felt like this was, okay, let's knock it up a notch and really make sure you deliver. So,
and I think that's the power of the Rise community, actually, is that everybody that's within it has that kind of a mindset where, it's collaboration, it's supporting each other.
Yes.
It's not egos getting in the way, saying that they're better at something. We've all acknowledged each other's skills, and, it's come together in such a beautiful way, which I think is lovely. And I'm very honoured to be part of it too.
Yeah. And I'm so excited. I don't know if you saw, we are a #1 new release on Kindle.
Woohoo! Yay! Yay!
Yeah,
We just got to
saw
keep
that and I was like, yes.
rise. Yeah.
Yes. And it's only, I mean, the fact that I've been telling, of course, I've shared it with my community, and I'm like, you have to buy this book because $2.99 for the amount of information you are getting out of it. Buy the book.
Buy the book.
Like,
absolutely.
I mean, Lord, if you wanted something that's gonna take your marketing and your engagement to the next level, this is it.
Yeah.
This is absolutely it.
I think you're completely on the money there, and the money is not very much money. So
No.
definitely scan this little code and it'll take you right up there. We love seeing that. We also have another code, if you haven't already scanned it, which takes us to the Instant Replay Hub. Now, that hub not only has this video going live right now, but it will have all the recordings available to you, as well as if you're on that list, you get lots of little surprises as next things roll out, including if you heard Mary before, that you and I should say MKJ before, that she has the new app that's coming out, and that sounds like it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
It's going to be fantastic.
So, yeah,
absolutely
I'm
fantastic.
really keen to see that. So we're pretty much at the end of our spot. I know Larry is our lucky last, and I'll be bringing him on. Someone scan the code! Yay! We're so excited! Happy days!
And
I don't
make
even
sure
care if it's
when
someone
you,
who's
when you
already
buy
done
the,
it.
Yes, and when you buy the Kindle book, authors, the lifeblood for authors are reviews. Write an honest review. Say what you think of the book. That is our lifeblood.
Absolutely.
We want to know how it is. We don't want to just put it out in the universe. We want feedback.
Yeah, we need the feedback. It helps us make everything better as well, and informs us. And the whole book has been written as just something to really support you in your business. So that's what it's there for. So whether you're a marketer or someone who's got a business trying to do it all for yourself, there is something that will help guide you all the way through. So Lisa, it's been such a pleasure to meet with you
Fiona,
today.
This was fantastic. Absolutely.
And, are you heading over to the event at all for the 8th? Or
I am speaking in California. On the 8th. I was like, no, because it was supposed to be this month. And then I was like, no. I am sadly going to be missing it. And I've been demanding an invite to Mark Schaefer's house for years. And he's like, I invite you and you don't come. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Isn't that the way? It's like, well, I was worried because I've got a speaking gig in Ohio at the end. And I thought, will I make it? I thought, you know what? I'm just going to have a tiny bit of a holiday in the middle of that. And I'll be there for both. So I'm really excited. Awesome. Anyway, with that, Larry is on, and it's 11:30 Eastern over there at night. So he's really waiting. So thank you again so much.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful evening, and look forward to talking to you in the community.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. See you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, that's so wonderful. Here we are. Can you believe it? We're right at the end. I'm about to bring our last speaker on for this session. My voice is hanging in there, and hopefully you guys are staying awake. And if you're not, then let me remind you that if you need those replays and you haven't scanned the hub, go ahead and do that. And I am just going to let you know right now that Larry Aronson is about to be brought on. Now, he's a technical consultant. He was author of the first web book. So, this is big. The HTML Manual of Style, a pioneer of online education and community development. That sings to my heart. He worked for IBM, Boeing, CBS News, Columbia University, and as a web developer has helped like hundreds and hundreds of people publish their ideas ideas online. So, Larry, welcome. So wonderful to have you join us.
It's great to be here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, can hear you perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Restream has not let us down. It's been absolutely brilliant. So I'm very keen for this discussion because we're talking, your chapter is on SEO. And it seems to be a slightly debatable subject at the moment, particularly with the rise of, the AI. And you keep hearing people talking about that. We're seeing changes, they're saying, in the way search will be performed. So what I'd love to ask you here is, what is the essence of SEO, search engine optimization, in today's landscape, and how can businesses succeed with it? Big question.
Well, SEO is different for different kinds of businesses and for different sizes of businesses. But essentially, it's still about understanding where your audience is, what their needs are, how they use search tools, whether it's Google or any other website, or even within, their own world and their own websites and everything. And then how that connects with the business to meet the business's goal and lead, through readers and viewers through the purchase funnel and into hopefully becoming customers.
Exactly. And the funnel still matters so much. So do you feel that the whole AI thing is going to have a deep impact on how SEO works?
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work out, but already people are, using Bing with its chat interface. Google's putting up a chat interface. It's no longer going to be just throwing a, set of keywords into a search engine. It's going to be, hey, I want to know about this, or I'm looking to do this and this, and I've got these constraints, et cetera, et cetera. How should I think about this?
Yeah.
And so from the website owners, because it's mostly about driving traffic to your website where you're going to make a sale. And you want to do that on your own land, so to speak, and not on somebody else's platform. So, you have to figure out what your audience wants. It's mostly business sense, and it's going to change like it has ever since search first came out. Every couple of years it's changing, and now it's changing even faster.
That's right. Yeah. And the speed of change, I think, is what really makes people nervous. And I suppose particularly if they'd invested a lot of money in SEO, and which is going to lead me to the next question, because, I think it's one of those areas where, there's some really amazing players, and then there's some perhaps not so. And so misconceptions is the question I wanted to ask you. What are common misconceptions about SEO? So how do we look at it and go, this person really knows what they're doing, and they understand SEO, compared to maybe there's some I've seen sort of companies where I've had clients who are paying a lot of money for what seems to be very, very average monitoring of one or two keywords, So, So what are common misconceptions? How can we make this something easier for people, business owners, to understand?
Yeah, great question. And the misconception, I think, is that it's all about keywords. And it's not all about keywords. It's about becoming known. It's becoming findable. It's about demonstrating your expertise across all of your channels by publishing high quality content. And though that content should work to establish your authority in a very particular niche that you own, in the sense that nobody else can produce the content in that particular area. And it can be very, very small. It's better to have a big share of a very small audience than a small share of a big audience.
Yeah.
So that's common sense. And the more you demonstrate your expertise, the more authority you build. So that soon, maybe over time, a few years, you become the source that everybody else links to for their information.
Right.
And once you have the authority, along with that comes trust. And people
word
have
we've
to know
used.
that, yeah, they have to know you're trustworthy, that you're going to deliver on the goods and the services you promise, and the experience that you set up through your brand impressions and all the other things that you do.
Yeah. Do you think like the use of AI to generate entire websites is going to be a good thing, a bad thing? Or will it again come to the skill of whoever's helping you? Because we talk about prompts, and I assume that whatever you tell AI to do, if it's going to design a website, is going to require some of your own flavor.
I'm afraid it's going to make it worse.
Okay.
I find so many people that I've worked with on websites that they really haven't done the hard work to set their goals, to develop a plan, to answer the question, okay, I got this website. How is it going to return my investment in 1 year, 2 years, whatever? What is it going to be like? Where's my traffic going to be? And am I helping the people I want to help?
Yeah.
So if you're doing that and you get an instant website, even through a template or with a little AI that helps you with the content, et cetera, you may not have that conversation with a developer or a consultant that asks you the hard questions.
Yeah.
That says, what do you want to do? You know, and what are your expectations?
Yeah.
So I again, if it makes it too easy, I think that's kind of a bad thing.
Yeah. And I think that we have a little bit of a habit, humans, that if it gets too easy, we can get a bit lazy too. Sort of just go, oh, that sounds like a great one-click solution. I'll just do that. And then you have to work out what's going wrong with it after that, right?
Yeah.
Trying to sort out the mess can be worse than if you'd taken the time at the very beginning. So that kind of makes me think, how should our strategies evolve in this landscape? Like, should we be reviewing our websites really regularly now to sort of say, is the content that we have going to suit different types and styles of search? Like, what do you recommend?
Well, yes, you have to keep asking those questions. You have to keep measuring your audience. You have to measure the progress and get the analytics that you need to see that your message is there. But again, it's all about the audience and establishing expertise, authority, and trust.
Yeah. So I'm just going to put that up as a caption.
That's not mine. That's Google. It's
Yeah.
from the Google's Guide to Search.
Authority and trust, says Google. And they're right for that.
Mhm.
Hang on. Oh, it takes a minute sometimes to show up. I think the system's going, wow, you've had us open for a long time. It's slowing down a little bit in the back end here. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what your book, what have you sort of delved into in regards to your, into the chapter that you've written? How deep have you gone?
Not deep. This because, like I said, it's mostly good business sense.
Yeah.
Developing your reputation, getting word of mouth, getting backlinks on other trusted sites. That's the important thing. And so I didn't want to go into too deep, but I wanted to bring up all of the, or at least the fundamentals of approaching these things, rather than talk about how you do this or how you do this. I mentioned that there are tools that you can use to craft keyword-rich headlines, and you can use AI to help you get keyword-rich content as an exercise to see if, okay, am I writing this and I'm thinking about this? Because it means that just instantly you have an intelligent assistant that will rewrite it for you or give you a different version.
Yeah.
So that's useful, and I talk about those things.
Awesome.
One thing that I clearly mentioned is I'm very big on voice, the ability to talk to devices, to talk to your smartphone, to talk to your computer, to talk to your car, to talk to your hotel room. And I think that as we move forward into the metaverse and the internet things, people will be typing less and talking more. It's just the natural human interface. I don't think the metaverse works with headsets and controllers and things.
No, yeah, that part's the
Mm.
hard, isn't it? Because it's uncomfortable. I mean, I've been wearing
Yeah.
these for 3 hours now, and it's not comfortable, and they're quite good ones. But I could not wear an Oculus for 3 hours. I half an hour is about as long as I'm comfortable wearing a metaverse headset at the moment. So, but you mentioned backlinks, so they are still going to be really important, aren't they? Even in a changing environment. I'm just like, I know that it's certainly for a lot of my small business clients, SEO is kind of this mystery. It's sort of really confuses them. They don't quite understand how it works, and they certainly don't understand what the backlink does.
It just says that other people think you're a reliable source of information, and you can get those backlinks by participating in communities, by consistent messaging and on social media, contributing to long pieces to other sources like Reddit, Medium, LinkedIn posts. It means getting your newsletter, or if you write a newsletter, you should archive it on your own site so that, and then post the newsletter goes out, and then you can use social media to drive non-subscribers back to your own website to read your insights.
That's a great tip.
And getting comments on what you've written. You can contribute guest posts on other trusted websites. Now that's kind of hard because you can send out lots and lots of emails and not get any response because they're saying, okay, when you're just getting started.
Right.
But that's when it's important to keep trying those kinds of outreaches.
Yeah. I love
and
it.
not be spammy about it. You have to be open and transparent and say, hey, I'm starting out. I think we're simpatico, thinking along the same lines about this area of whatever our businesses are. Let me work with you. And all I'm asking is that, if you like the stuff, you use it and give me a link back.
I love it. And, you started talking about if they're just starting out. And that was actually my very next question to you was, what advice would you give someone who is just starting out in business or marketing when it comes to SEO? Like, do they, buy the book, obviously, because it's going to give them some great tips to start. But, how important is it to get it right at the start of a website? Or, is it because it needs to be more fluid, so it's more about, continually putting new, fresh content? What are the tips you would, advise someone who's just about to have their first ever website?
Well, there's plenty of tools you can use, but if you're just starting a content business or being, a mini media company, you shouldn't really worry too much about the details of search engine optimization. Search engine optimization really becomes important if you're a big company with a large catalog and you have landing pages for each of your major products. Then it becomes critical, especially if you've got narrow margins and you have enough traffic to the website to be able to A/B test things so you know what's going to work and what's not going to work.
Yeah.
For someone just starting out, you're better off just concentrating on get quality content with consistent messaging and doing something that says, this is my brand, and establishing that brand identity. That's much more important. The keywords will come out of that. Listen to your audience. They'll tell you what your keywords are.
Right. Yeah. And that, I think it's really important is that, again, that listening. But I guess if you're starting out, they go, hang on, I haven't got an audience yet. But that comes back to right back at the strategy, isn't it? When you were developing it, who are you trying to talk to? You need to know that, and you need to have developed that. And as you say, you need to have developed the voice around it as well. And the question that we love asking everyone as well is, how was the experience of being part of this project and writing the book for you?
I've been telling some of my friends this is the fourth turning in my life.
Oh,
and the first turning is when I decided to come to New York and find my way. My second one was when the IBM PC came out, and the company I was working for, Boeing, its computer services division, it was time sharing. And you were basically dialing up at 300 characters per second and
Jeez.
putting in spreadsheet kind of information without a graphic interface, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
I knew their
Crazy.
model was going to go down the tubes as soon as I saw VisiCalc on an Apple II. That was
Right.
the second one. The third one, and I left the corporate world and went out as a mainframe programmer for hire.
Right.
It's a long story. Let me shorten it up a little bit. The third one was when I saw the web for the
Yeah.
various time back in '93, and started getting involved and helping other people. And someone said, hey, write a book for us. This is the
There it is.
rare mirror image version. And to me, this is the fourth, because I thought I was going to retire as the pandemic came. I got tired of managing clients who really had little idea of what they wanted. They just said, I got to have a website. I got to have a website.
Yeah.
And I've been leaning towards community all my career. I've been involved with user groups, boards of various software foundations and things. And when Mark presented his Rise community at the Creator Economy Expo, CEX
Right.
2022 in Phoenix,
Right.
put his QR code up on there. I grabbed it, and I became part of that community. And
Love it.
I really got to like working in Discord. There's an intimacy there in all of its cacophony.
It's a bit crazy sometimes. There,
Yeah.
but-
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to be a part of.
I love it.
And give back. I've gotten so much. It's have to give back.
Yeah. And I think that's just such a big part of the whole community. And I hope we never lose that, because I've said that to a couple of the other folks that I've been talking to. It's just that there's a real genuine, heartfelt desire to be there for each other, to support each other, sharing of information. And it's crazy. And your Cammy's just said it can be messy but connected. And it's because it can move so fast. It's like, conversations like, if I've missed it for a couple of days, there's no way I can go back and see everything that went on, because they're so active in there.
And let me add in this, and the other part of this is watching amazing people do their work, like Cammy. I mean, what a great marketing
Yes.
project and effort she's directing. I've been just blown away by the amount of content and planning and timing and everything that's been put together. Frank's cover and the whole idea of the 3 cover contest, beautiful concepts.
Just bring that book up again.
And again, as Mark said earlier when you were talking to him, he says, I'm not doing this. It's the community is doing this.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's what's fun. It's we all have a part. We can all contribute.
Yeah, which has it's just been amazing. And if you've just tuned in, we're at the very end. Larry is our last speaker for today. You can join our hub, and the hub, which I'll just pop that up there. If you scan that code, you will get access to all the videos. Yep, that's the way. Point the right way, because I keep going backwards like that. And I keep hitting my finger behind me. It's a bit weird that way. You will get offers if you sign up there. And I don't mean we're selling to you. We're just going to be giving you some amazing content. So that is brilliant. You can get hold of the book through there as well. Kindle is out at the moment for just $2.99 USD for a very limited period, and we would love you to buy it, and we would really, really, really love your reviews. That means a world to all of the authors of this book, the 35 people that put their hand up to participate, to give their best of their strength to and their knowledge to help you out. that is the way that we really get a lot of love back, is through those reviews. So we would really appreciate it, and it helps us to hone our craft as well. So Larry, we're towards the end of it, but I'm just trying to look at there were so many areas that I was looking at here, and one of them was like that I thought, I know it's just like a mechanical kind of thing, but it's something that people always talk to me about. It's like they go, how do you speed up your website? And it's one of your chapters. So like,
it's a factor.
what's the simplest thing to do to start making it faster?
Well, if you're using a CMS, a content management system, and like that I mean Wix or especially WordPress, there are ways to cache your static pages, the pages that never change. Right. And that way they don't have to be regenerated out of the database every time for a new visitor. That greatly speeds up your website. Make sure your images are properly sized for where you're going to use them in your pages. So don't put in a bigger image and then adjust the sizes. And a lot of the web builder programs will be doing that, and that's a bad practice. So be careful.
Okay. Right.
Once you get those pictures in, maybe, and you see what the appropriate size are, take the original picture, shrink it down independently in whatever graphics program you like so that it's the right size and just enough resolution so it doesn't look bad.
That's a really good tip, because I have seen some people generating some pretty, especially photography and things like that, and they want to upload these really massive files to a gallery, and it's like, I think it's crawling a little bit now. So and I think that's and it can be hard, particularly if you are an artist or a photographer, in that sort of creative field where you really want to highlight, you don't want anything to have got a bit lossy or whatever, you want it to look amazing. So at the same time, it's just a matter of making sure that you bring it to suit the web, because otherwise it's really going to slow it down. And is there anything else that kind of can help with that? Like, are some of these plugins and things, are they worth it, or they just make things clunkier in the back end?
They do. They do make things clunkier in the back end. But on the other hand, doing a custom coding job takes a lot of the client's time, as well as and it can be very expensive. Yeah. So you have to find that happy medium in between that. Yeah. Stay away from overly fancy stuff as you're just starting out and you're just building your website. Allow your website room to grow. So start out small, keep it centered on your message. Of course, use visuals and pictures, but fancy drop downs, slides ups, whatever, all those kinds of things that take up a lot of space. Just if it slows down your website, and pay for good hosting. Yeah. There are companies that will put as many accounts on one server as they can fit, and then one of them takes off, everybody else is slowed down.
Right. Yeah.
So pay a few, $2 or $3 extra a month for the level above the bottom rung. Yeah. And that helps. And too technical a trick is what I do is that when I've been doing WordPress for a long time.
Yeah.
Is just only load what you need to load for each kind of page.
Right.
There's stuff that you want on a post, but you don't want on your homepage. And there's ways to do this. It's all documented in the WordPress Codex, and you can find it easily.
Okay.
But before we go, I don't know if you can see this, what I'm wearing.
A little badge?
No.
Oh, you've got my Kanga.
Yes, I do. You've been here, remember?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
That was when I was in New York.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was right as COVID was happening. I've got a question here from someone before we wind up. So it's, how often does the site need redoing, makeover every 3 to 5 years? You're asking, is that necessary?
I'm sorry. I was a
That's
chat
all right. Yeah, got
came
a
up in there.
question.
How can I pinned it on my computer live stream chat? So what was your? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Fiona.
so
What was your
someone
question
is
again?
watching has said, how often does the site need redoing or a makeover? Should it be
Ah,
every 3 or 5 years? Is it necessary
about
to
then.
be? That's about right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And so,
More
do you
time.
redo everything, or you just talk about updating images, updating the content to reflect where the business is moving to, that kind of thing? Like, what do you
Well,
need
for
to do?
whatever, those are all good reasons.
Yeah.
Yes. Usually, if you start with a good, flexible, basic template, you learn how what's involved. You can make those changes fairly smoothly.
Okay.
I'm involved with the website now that we're changing over from a blog first page where the posts are in chronological order and there's a traditional sidebar. That doesn't work very much anymore as a homepage.
Yeah.
So we're changing that over to be like a library structure,
Right.
hub, and then some landing pages for the major topics.
Right.
That works better. That's more searchable, more friendly, and hopefully that'll improve traffic. But improving traffic is hard. Google is stealing traffic away from us,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's only going to be more so as they find ways to scrape more website information and put it on their pages surrounded by their ads.
Right.
They make money out of it.
So it's going to be something we have to really watch. So, hopefully we'll be able to keep tapping into your knowledge in the community as well. And you can keep us abreast of what we need to do, because I think that's going to be really, really important. When you showed me that on the pin, I almost thought, have you got a yellow taxi? Because Heidi always had the little yellow taxi.
I don't have it here. I should get the taxi, but
Love that.
Vicky.
Anyway, anyone who's not listening, I was actually hosted at Larry and Heidi's house once as a guest speaker as COVID shut down New York. It was very interesting, and it was the first time we met with quite a lot of distance between us in a really big circle, but very grateful for that. It was a lovely experience. I met some amazing people. Well, Larry, thank you so much for joining us and for being our amazing final speaker for this incredible event. Cannot believe that we have finished 24 hours already. So thank you for staying up so late, and I hope you have a really lovely sleep, because it must be midnight for you now. No turning into pumpkins.
It is. Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. I often work late. When it's quiet. I'm in Midtown Manhattan. It's the only time it gets kind of quiet, except on the weekends, and then it gets noisier after midnight.
Oh, gotcha. Got you. Okay. Well, with that, I thank you again, and I shall let you go. So, folks, I'm just letting Larry see you later. Thank you so much. Bye. And just to everyone, just a final little plug to remind you, if you haven't already, please sign up to our replay hub, where you get all the replays, and you will get first dibs on new content and specials that we've got for you, including, if you didn't hear earlier, there's a very cool app coming that sounds absolutely amazing, and you will be the first to know if you join up. So I want to thank absolutely everybody for today. I've just seen, I'm just catching a couple of things. Jim, you better get in touch with Larry, because your site needs an update. So there you go. I'm not sure about how can I pin it on my computer live stream chat. Sorry, McKay, I'm not sure. How can I pin it on my computer live stream chat? That sounds like a coding thing. Maybe if Larry wants to jump, you want to write your comment after the stream has ended, and the authors will revisit for any comments and might be able to give you a some information on that question. Me not being the web guy, I certainly can't answer it right now. And Lisa, loved you on as well. I've loved having everyone here. This is just beautiful. Just winding up with some lovely comments here. Learned so much from Larry. I did too. And from everybody. We've got Bruce saying, "Oh, yes, you can celebrate, Cami." Thanks to you, Bruce, too. Bruce was a speaker earlier today. We've had just some amazing people all day. And, well, for those in Australia like me, it was all night and half the day. We are really ready to celebrate. I do have to run off to a client meeting shortly. So once again, I thank Mark, the entire RISE community, Cami and the team, Ian, Dan, all the speakers. I don't want to miss any of you, but there's so many of you, and I do have to wind up. Thank you so much for being part of this incredible adventure, and stay tuned for more. As I said, get into that hub, and you never know, maybe you'd like to join the RISE community. You can head over to Mark Schaefer's website and learn all about that there. So thanks very much, and it's bye from me, and have a wonderful evening, wonderful day. And thank you, Cami, from one queen to another. Bye-bye.